my own space station. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 151 Interrogation. Interrogation Room Number 3. I'm very sorry to tell you that your luck is terrible. You ended up being last in line. You might be the unluckiest one. Dongfang Chen explained the effects of the two potions again. Unfortunately, you don't have the right of first refusal. Your fate can only rest on the first two people. As long as they don't speak, you will have a chance. But I don't think that's very likely. Good luck to you. After speaking, Dongfang Chen walked out of the interrogation room. Mr. Dongfang, will this really work? They're all stubborn elements, Zhongzhen Yu said. Don't overestimate them. I think their performance will definitely open your eyes, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Zhongzhen Yu didn't believe it. This kind of trick is only good for fooling 3-year-olds. 10 minutes later, Dongfang Chen re-entered interrogation room number 1. Alright, it's time to make a choice. You only have this one chance to choose. If you are not confident, then I'm sorry, the right of first refusal will go to number 2. I'll give you 10 seconds to consider. After speaking, Dongfang Chen took out a stopwatch and pressed the timer. I'll talk. In less than 2 seconds, Saint Envoy number 1 made a choice, a wise choice. But whether you can get the potion depends on whether what you say is true. Don't try to fool me with false information. The consequences will be severe. Do you understand? Understood. Alright, let's begin. Zhongzhen Yu beside him widened his eyes. This was too strange. But he quickly restrained himself and signaled the soldier next to him to start recording. What do you want to know? The Saint Envoy asked. Let's talk about the zombie siege this time, Dongfang Chen said. It started with the installation of ultrasonic transmitters in the resettlement camp last time. In the 2 months before that, I secretly cultivated a batch of zombie rats in several basements of the Suiyang resettlement camp. Originally, everything was going smoothly, but who knew that one day, the military region sent people to the resettlement camp, saying they were going to install a kind of ultrasonic transmitter to drive away the zombie rats. I didn't take it seriously at the time, thinking that ultrasound couldn't possibly counter the zombie rats. Who knew that not long after the transmitter was installed, the rats I raised disappeared inexplicably. Why did you raise zombie rats? Dongfang Chen asked. It was a task assigned to me by the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun said that these rats were prepared for the various resettlement camps. With the existence of these rats, it would be convenient for us to smoothly gain control in the future, number 1 replied. Then, is the zombie rat infestation that broke out in the Jiangning resettlement camp related to you? Dongfang Chen asked. No relation. Maybe other Saint Envoys are doing the same thing. I'm not sure about that. How did you know that the military installed transmitters in the resettlement camp to drive away animal zombies? The Suiyang resettlement camp is actually controlled by me, number 1 replied. Then what is the relationship between the person in charge of the resettlement camp and you? Dongfang Chen asked. He is one of our believers. Do you know Mei Wenhua? I know him. What is the relationship between him and Xiaoyuz, the person in charge of the resettlement camp? Dongfang Chen asked. Xiaoyuz was developed by Mei Wenhua. Number 1 replied. What? Dongfang Chen immediately felt that the situation was not good. I'm asking you, is Mei Wenhua really dead or not? Dongfang Chen asked. This, number 1 was a little flustered. What? You still want to hold something back at this time? Dongfang Chen threatened. I wouldn't dare. He's not dead, the Saint Envoy said through gritted teeth. Hearing this answer, Dongfang Chen understood that they had put on a show together last time. Then where is he now? Dongfang Chen asked. I don't know. The Holy Sun said that he possessed some secrets and couldn't die yet. He was directly taken away by the Holy Sun afterward. We don't have the authority to know where he went specifically, number 1 replied. What about later? Dongfang Chen continued to ask. After the military left, we wanted to dismantle the transmitter. We didn't expect that the transmitter couldn't be found. Not long after that, the rats we raised also disappeared. I knew that this kind of transmitter would be installed in every resettlement camp. If that's the case, our plan would be severely damaged. I realized the seriousness of the problem and immediately reported the situation. How do you contact the Holy Sun? Dongfang Chen asked. Through a telegraph machine, Saint Envoy number 1 replied. A telegraph machine? Dongfang Chen was surprised. That's right, a telegraph machine, Saint Envoy number 1 replied. So that's how it is. Dongfang Chen suddenly understood. No wonder the information obtained about the Red Robe sect was so scarce. The problem was actually here. Telegraph machines had long been eliminated. He didn't expect that someone would pick them up again now. Continue, Dongfang Chen said. Later, the Holy Sun revealed another shocking message to us. After learning this message, several of us Saint Envoys discussed it and had to take the risk of planning the zombie siege. Saint Envoy number 1 said. What message? Dongfang Chen asked. Chapter 152. The Innocent Holy Envoy. If we don't achieve substantial results in the short term, our branch will be collectively eliminated, Saint Envoy number 1 replied. Tell me more about your plan, Dongfang Chen said. The first step of the plan is to drive the zombies to surround the resettlement camps, causing panic. This way, we can legitimately contact the military region and request their support, Saint Envoy number 1 said. With just a few of you, I'm afraid you can't make such a big commotion. Right, a few of us certainly can't. As far as I know, basically every resettlement camp has at least one Saint Envoy lurking or in control, overtly or covertly. With a Saint Child coming forward, we can coordinate the execution of this matter uniformly across all the resettlement camps, Saint Envoy number 1 explains. Ong Zhenyu was very shocked to hear this. The red-clad sect's influence is not small, so the resettlement camp sending people to besiege the military headquarters was also manipulated by you, Zhong Zhenyu interjected. That's right. We spread some news to the resettlement camps, saying that the southeast military region's forces are limited, and if everyone doesn't fight for it, they might not even get leftovers. If the military region remains unmoved, what can you do? Dongfang Chen asked. If the military region doesn't send troops, then the resettlement camps will definitely be dissatisfied and lose confidence in the military. In that case, we can take this opportunity to intensify the conflict between the two, and then secretly control these resettlement camps. So, the subsequent autonomy of many resettlement camps was the result of your manipulation, Dongfang Chen asked. That's right. If the military region stations troops in each resettlement camp, what would you do then? Dongfang Chen asked hypothetically. If the military sends troops, that would be even better. In that case, the military region will inevitably have depleted forces, creating an opportunity for us to besiege the headquarters. Moreover, the soldiers dispersed to each resettlement camp will inevitably be limited in number, and we can defeat them one by one. What is your ultimate goal? Dongfang Chen asked. The ultimate goal should be to completely control China, Saint Envoy number 1 replied. Naive idea. Dongfang Chen laughed. Do you have anything else to say? Dongfang Chen asked. No, the Saint Envoy replied. Dongfang Chen turned to leave. Wait, the Saint Envoy said hastily. What? Do you have anything to add? Dongfang Chen turned back and asked. That medicine, the Saint Envoy reminded him. I really don't know how someone as naive as you became a Saint Envoy. Dongfang Chen mocked. After saying that, he walked out. Ah! You tricked me, the Saint Envoy shouted inside. Send him on his way, Zhong Zhenyu said to the soldiers beside him. Commander Zhuang, now it seems that Jia Yuz and Peng Yaoxun of the Suiyang resettlement camp are undoubtedly members of the red-clad sect. Hurry up and arrest them, Dongfang Chen suggested. Those two have already been taken into custody. They can't escape, Commander Zhuang replied. Dongfang Chen nodded and walked into interrogation room number 2. Have you thought about it? You have 10 seconds to choose. Dongfang Chen pressed the stopwatch directly. HMPH. You want to divide us? Save your breath. Saint Envoy number 2 was very stubborn. Hearing this, Dongfang Chen knew that there was no point in interrogating him. So he put down the stopwatch. I didn't realize you were such a good person, giving such a good opportunity to number 3. Saint Envoy number 2 ignored him. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you speak or not. The person in room number 1 has already said everything I wanted to know. Show him the confession, Dongfang Chen said. The soldier next to him glanced at Zhong Zhenyu, who nodded in agreement. The soldier stepped forward and placed the confession in front of the Saint Envoy. Since the Saint Envoy's arms had been broken, the soldier could only turn the pages for him one by one. After Saint Envoy number 2 finished reading, he silently closed his eyes. See that? In your opinion, perhaps this is a means of dividing you one by one. But in my opinion, You are just a bunch of clowns. Although you no longer have the first choice, I can give you an extra opportunity, a chance to die quickly. It depends on whether you cherish it or not. I only have one question. Which resettlement camp do you come from? Dongfang Chen asked. Number 2 didn't answer. Since that's the case, then I can't help you. Good luck to you, Dongfang Chen said. Inject this potion into him. Dongfang Chen took out a blue potion from his pocket and handed it to the soldier. Oh, right. Remember to record the process. I need to take a backup copy with me. Sometimes, if I don't show some evidence, others will think that my potion is just a bluff. Dongfang Chen smiled. The soldier clearly shivered after hearing this. This young man in front of him is really ruthless. Dongfang Chen didn't stay any longer and walked directly into interrogation room number 3. Congratulations, number 2 chose not to speak. You have an opportunity to choose, Dongfang Chen said to Saint Envoy number 3. What did number 1 say? Saint Envoy number 3 asked. He was very wise and confessed everything. Dongfang Chen replied. So, I only have one way to die? Saint Envoy number 3 asked. Chapter 153 Number 3 Feet, S request. Not exactly. The green potion is still here, you still have a chance to choose, Dongfang Chen said. I'll talk after I take the medicine first. The Saint Envoy number 3 didn't care why number 1 didn't get this potion. He should take care of himself first. Alright, Dongfang Chen handed the potion to the soldier next to him. The soldier took the potion and injected it directly. 10 minutes later, oh, Saint Envoy number 3 breathed a sigh of relief. This medicine is really good. I don't know how long it's been since I felt so comfortable. But unfortunately, it's too late, Saint Envoy number 3 said. Can you talk now? Dongfang Chen asked. Ask away. Saint Envoy number 3 nodded. Which settlement are you from? Dongfang Chen asked. Xiaolin settlement. Number 3 replied. Xiaolin settlement. Dongfang Chen was stunned. Choose Hangping was in Xiaolin settlement. Yes. Number 3 ignored Dongfang Chen's surprise. He didn't care and wasn't curious enough to ask. What is your status there? Dongfang Chen asked. I don't have any status. On the surface, I am just a minor character in the settlement. Number 3 replied. Why do you and those two know each other? Dongfang Chen asked. Our superior is the same saint son. Where's your saint son? Dongfang Chen asked. I don't know. Lower level members of the cult know very little about their superiors. Then how do you usually communicate? Telegraph machine. This was the same answer as number 1. Do other saint sons also use telegraph machines to contact their subordinates? I don't know about that, but if I had to guess, probably. Are there any other saint envoys in your Xiaolin settlement? I don't know. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. Who can say for sure? Do you have anything else to add? Dongfang Chen had nothing else to ask. I want to ask, can I leave here alive? Number 3 asked. I'm afraid not. Dongfang Chen shook his head. Then can I ask you to do me a favor? Saint Envoy number 3 asked. I'm afraid you don't have the opportunity to negotiate. Dongfang Chen refused. I can exchange it for a secret, Saint Envoy number 3 said after a moment of hesitation. Tell me about it. Dongfang Chen was a little interested. Let's hear the conditions first. If you can do it, I will tell you the secret. Okay, Dongfang Chen agreed. I have a daughter who is in the Xiaolin settlement. If I die, she may not survive. So I want to ask you to adopt her. Number 3 stated his condition. How old is she? Dongfang Chen asked. 8 years old. I can help you find a family. Dongfang Chen said. No, you have to promise me that you will adopt her yourself. Saint Envoy number 3 refused. Dongfang Chen could have refused if it was anything else. But when he heard it was a child, he hesitated. Why do you want me to adopt her? Dongfang Chen asked. I know who you are. Although I don't know your name, I know you are very mysterious and powerful. Maybe she can live safely if she follows you, Saint Envoy number 3 said. You know me. Dongfang Chen was surprised in his impression. The Crimson Church shouldn't know about his existence. That's right, number 3 replied. Then tell me, who am I? Dongfang Chen was not in a hurry and restrained his emotions. I know you have a secret base, and you produce the combat suits and antigens, number 3 said succinctly. Although the words were simple, the amount of information was huge. Dongfang Chen was first shocked, then calmed down. So far, his base has not been attacked by the Crimson Church. Even the Merlin settlement has not received any additional attacks. This shows that not many people should know about him. Moreover, he wouldn't know terms like combat suit and antigen if he hadn't been in contact with relevant personnel. Where did you hear these things from? Dongfang Chen asked. There is a person, he is very powerful, and he once saved me. I think he should be your subordinate, Saint Envoy number 3 said. As soon as he said this, Dongfang Chen knew what was going on. This person should be Chu Xiangping. Are you talking about Yun? Dongfang Chen asked tentatively, but there was a risk in saying this. If his guess was incorrect, it might bring danger to Chu Xiangping. It seems that I guessed right. You are his boss. Number 3 opened his eyes and affirmed his judgment. It turned out that Chu Xiangping told him, the title of boss could explain everything apart from the 40 or so infiltrators who were sent out. Few people called him that, but it shouldn't be like this. Chu Xiangping couldn't possibly be unclear about what was important. He had no reason to reveal him to a member of the Crimson Church. Dongfang Chen contacted Chu Xiangping through the digital eye after the signal was connected. Dongfang Chen turned on the image synchronization. Why would Yun tell you about this? Dongfang Chen asked. Last year, when he first arrived at the Huailing settlement, he lived with us. He brought a dog, a very powerful dog, number 3 said, as if stating a fact, as if recalling. Life was too hard at that time. In the cold winter, it was freezing. We adults were fine, we could grit our teeth and get through the night. But the children couldn't stand it. Yuya hadn't eaten anything decent for months, and she was growing, so she was already skin and bones. Just when we were about to not be able to hold on any longer, Yun came. He gave us a lot of food, and Yuya survived that winter. Chapter 154 Cyborg Experiment. I could tell at a glance that Yun wasn't from the settlement. Because there was light in his eyes, and his heart still held passion. Although he tried his best to disguise it, we lived together every day, so he couldn't hide it from me at all. He was very mysterious and powerful. Every once in a while, he would go to Huai's house city alone with a dog, and then bring back a pile of supplies. Once, when he came back, all his clothes were torn, covered in claw marks. We were terrified, but unexpectedly, he was completely fine, with no wounds on his body. Later, he asked me if I wanted to change my way of life. He said that if I was willing, he could recommend me to a place. There would be endless food and warm beds. Most importantly, there were antigens. With just one injection, we would never be infected by the virus and would become as powerful as him, but fate plays tricks on people. One day, a recruitment notice was posted in the settlement. The conditions were very attractive, so I signed up. Thanks to Yun's help, I was in good physical condition and was successfully selected. But who knew that I would fall into the abyss from then on? I drank the holy water and ate the pills, and from then on, I became neither human nor ghost. When I returned to my residence again, it was already a month later. Thanks to his care, my child was still healthy. That night, Yun questioned me why I joined the Crimson Robe Society. I didn't hide anything and told him the whole story. He sighed and didn't say much. He told me he needed to enter the Crimson Robe Society and hoped I could help. My position was very high. Joining the society meant becoming a holy envoy, so arranging a small position was simply easy. If it's really like you said, why didn't you tell him the secret of the spirit summoning technique? Dongfang Chen asked. In March, Dongfang Chen contacted Yun and inquired about the spirit summoning technique. At that time, Yun only knew about the existence of the spirit summoning technique but didn't know the process of casting it. I haven't mastered the spirit summoning technique for long either, Holy Envoy number 3 replied. So, the information that Yun sent back earlier, about the Crimson Robe Society having a major operation, was leaked to him by you? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes, Holy Envoy number 3 replied. Chu Xiangping also sent a message. The situation is true. Dongfang Chen nodded after seeing Chu Xiangping's reply. I can agree to your conditions. Tell me, what secrets are you going to provide? The higher-ups of the Crimson Robe Society seem to be secretly conducting experiments on cyborgs, Holy Envoy number 3 said. Cyborgs? What are the specific experiment details? This was the first time Dongfang Chen had heard of this. I don't know the specifics. I overheard it by accident. Do you have anything else to add? Dongfang Chen nodded and then asked, my daughter's matter? Holy Envoy number 3 asked hopefully. I'm sorry, I can't agree to your daughter's matter, Dongfang Chen replied. Is that so? Well then, number 3 lowered his head silently and closed his eyes. Perhaps it's better for you to raise her yourself, Dongfang Chen added. Number 3 raised his head, staring at him blankly, not knowing what he meant. The toxins in your body have already been cleared by the medicine. I will have a doctor help you reattach your hands. There's no way to fix your legs in the short term, so I can only provide you with a pair of prosthetics. That way, living a normal life won't be a problem, Dongfang Chen said. You're going to let me go? Number 3 asked in confusion. That's right, Dongfang Chen admitted. Why, you have provided us with information, and your crime doesn't warrant death, Dongfang Chen said. Thank you, number 3 nodded, as if understanding, and then thanked Dongfang Chen. That's it then. Stay in the southeast military region for a few days until you recover from your injuries and the prosthetics are installed before going back. I'll have you take care of your daughter for a few days, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, number 3 had no objections. Dongfang Chen left Holy Envoy number 3's interrogation room. Mr. Dongfang, this number 3 is a Holy Envoy of the Crimson Robe Society. Are you really going to let him go back? Zhongzhen Yu asked. Commander Zhong, we agreed beforehand that these people would be dealt with by me. Dongfang Chen reminded him. Hey, that's not what I meant. I'm reminding you that this kind of person is very dangerous. You can't just believe him based on his one-sided story, Zhongzhen Yu explained. Commander Zhong, don't worry, I have my own plans for this matter, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Alright, whatever you say. Seeing that Dongfang Chen was confident, Zhongzhen Yu stopped talking. June 8, 2055 AD. This day was the day of the relocation of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild headquarters and the official establishment of the new headquarters. Niu Xingwang had sent invitation letters to various settlements a few days in advance. This was the first step for the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild to officially enter the public eye in the morning, as soon as the sun rose. The streets of Funing district in Binjiang City were already bustling. This was an unprecedented lively scene. Since the end of the world, a large number of newly recruited greeters and security personnel, wearing uniforms, shuttled back and forth, receiving the arriving guests. Chapter 155. Participants arrive. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild were Niu Xingwang and Zhang Yuan's home turf. Dongfang Chen could only watch such a grand scene through the screen. Some relatively close settlements could choose to drive there themselves. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce also prepared 10 transport planes to pick up and drop off the participants sent by each settlement. In reality, each settlement didn't show much interest in the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild's high-profile invitation. After all, this was just a private organization. The fact that they could have such a scene today was mostly thanks to the last endorsement from the council at that time. In order to quickly obtain the ultrasonic transmitter, the council had Yan Xiangping borrow a lot of crystal cores from the Huituang Chamber of Commerce. As an exchange condition, the council announced the legal status of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce to all settlements through an announcement. With the council's endorsement, everyone would more or less give Huituang Chamber of Commerce some face. However, today's actual contact shocked them greatly. If it was just a private organization, then the strength of this organization was too great. Having 10 high-tech transport planes, this alone was something that settlements could not achieve. What's more, the Chamber of Commerce actually set up its headquarters in the city center. This was really unimaginable. Apart from Kyoto still being in the city center, which other city in the country dared to set up its office in the city center? Wasn't that courting death? Therefore, since the Chamber of Commerce dared to do this, it was either stupid or had strong strength. Boss Niu, I didn't expect that in just a few months. You have already built a headquarters, Mayor Gong said after arriving. A small project. A small project, Niu Xingwang said with a humble smile. Mayor Gong smiled politely. He also thought that the amount of work must not be large, because in the past few months, he had never seen Niu Xingwang recruit construction workers in Milan. He once thought that Niu Xingwang's plan to move the headquarters to Binjiang was just talk. Boss Niu, you have to think carefully. The city center is the home of zombies. Just dealing with these zombies is enough to keep you busy, Mayor Gong reminded. Mayor Gong, don't worry, the zombies in Binjiang City have been cleaned up. There won't be any problems, Niu Xingwang said with a smile, his expression very calm. Cleaned up already? Mayor Gong was shocked. Yes, it has been cleaned up. We plan to open the new headquarters for public tours 24 hours a day. If we don't clean up the zombies, everyone will always have concerns and dare not come, Niu Xingwang said. A grand gesture, Mayor Gong exclaimed, his mind also becoming active. He even thought, Binjiang City is my territory, is it possible to move people back? However, it was just a thought while talking. Niu Xingwang had already led the several mayors and settlement leaders who arrived first to the entrance of the underground base. As soon as everyone arrived underground, they knew what was going on. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce had actually built an underground base. It was simply unbelievable. Since the release of the 2055 Human Survival White Paper, everyone had only kept the underground base at the conceptual level, and no one had ever really done it. Why? because it consumed too many resources. More than 90% of the settlements had problems even eating, so where would they have the energy to build a base? It is estimated that it will take another 2 hours for the guests to arrive. Now, mayors and settlement leaders, please follow the staff to visit around. Refreshments have also been arranged in the hall. If you are tired, you can rest for a while, Niu Xingwang said. Good. Good. Good, everyone responded. Everyone couldn't wait to visit. More than an hour later, the planes sent to pick up the participants returned one after another. The newly arrived participants were all shocked by the size and completeness of this base. Immediately afterwards, unexpected guests arrived. Zhang Zhanggai of the Southeast Military Region and Yan Xiangping of the Southwest Military Region actually came to congratulate in person. That was fine, but soon, the Northeast Military Region and the Northwest Military Region also sent people. This was a bit strange. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild have not directly dealt with the Northeast Military Region and the Northwest Military Region so far. Their arrival was a bit unusual. Subsequently, the Civil Affairs Department, the Military Affairs Department, the Security Department, the Finance Department, the Energy Department, the Culture Department, of the 19 council members, 16 sent representatives to attend the founding celebration of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce headquarters. This was giving a lot of face. Niu Xingwang was a little nervous and couldn't speak. It was the first time he had experienced such a grand scene. Dongfang Chen was also surprised by these uninvited guests, but thinking about it, it was normal. Each class has its own circle. Each circle has its own rules of survival. The rules of survival for their circle are connections, intelligence, and execution. So, if one participates, they all compete to participate. Joining in the fun is one aspect, obtaining first-hand information is another. The most taboo thing here is being maverick and unique, because taking a path that others don't take often comes at a great cost. And people in their class would not be stupid enough to try and make mistakes. Taking the path that others have taken is safer. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156. The celebration begins. Niu Xingwang contacted Dongfang Chen through the digital eye to ask if the plan needed to be adjusted. Dongfang Chen was also hesitant about this matter. He made such a big show, inviting the heads of various settlements to attend the founding celebration of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild headquarters, for two purposes. First, to further consolidate and enhance the popularity and influence of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild. Second, by visiting the base model rooms, everyone can intuitively feel the strength of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild, as well as the advantages of the underground base. This prepares for the subsequent undertaking of underground base construction projects for various settlements. In essence, this is also a real estate business, which is Niu Xingwang's forte. However, uninvited guests may complicate this issue. The technical strength exceeding the current human technological level exposed in the base may arouse the covetousness of those in power. If the authorities propose compulsory requisition of these technologies, Dongfang Chen will definitely not agree. In this way, it may cause conflict between the Chamber of Commerce and the authorities, which is very detrimental to future development. Try to divert the personnel as much as possible. The celebration will be held as usual. Representatives from various settlements will be arranged to visit the underground base after the celebration, as originally planned. As for the council representatives, the Mercenary Guild will take over after the celebration and take them to visit the Mercenary Guild. That place should also be quite attractive to them. I will inform Zhang Jie about that, Dongfang Chen said after thinking. Okay, Niu Xingwang replied immediately afterwards. Dongfang Chen contacted Zhang Yuanqi and explained the situation. Now that the guests have arrived, there is no time to make extra arrangements, so this is the only way. 10 a.m., the celebration officially began. Distinguished guests, good morning. Thank you all for taking the time during this special period to attend the founding celebration of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild. The host took the stage after everyone was seated. Next, please welcome Mr. Niu Xingwang, the president of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce, to the stage to give a thank you speech. Clap clap clap, sparse applause. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time experiencing such a big scene. I'm making a fool of myself, Niu Xingwang said a little tremblingly, and bowed first. Clap clap clap. The applause was a little warmer, and everyone applauded to show encouragement. After several months of preparation, The Huituang Chamber of Commerce has finally entered a formal development track. Being able to get to today is inseparable from the strong support of Mayor Gong Kaming of Binsao City. Here, I represent the Huituang Chamber of Commerce to express my gratitude to you, Niu Xingwang said here, and bowed again. Mayor Gong also stood up at this time, turned around and bowed slightly to everyone to show his respect. Clap clap clap. The applause was a little warmer again, with the full support of Mayor Gong. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce has successfully taken root in Milan. But the Chamber of Commerce's ability to enter a period of rapid development also benefits from the strong support of the Council. Here, I represent the Huituang Chamber of Commerce to express my sincerest gratitude to the Speaker and all the councillors. Niu Xingwang bowed again. Clap clap clap. The applause was much warmer. Perhaps most of the settlement leaders present have not had contact with the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and do not understand the situation very well. Next, I will first briefly introduce the main businesses of our Chamber of Commerce. As an effective supplement to the functions of the settlements, our Huituang Chamber of Commerce has currently launched the following major business sectors. The first business, material transportation and allocation. We plan to invest 1,200 large-scale unmanned transport aircraft within 1 year to form an air transport network that can cover all settlements with a population of over 100,000. This will achieve rapid material transfer within 6 hours between any settlement in the country. At the same time, with the construction of the transportation network, we will set up a branch in each settlement. With a presentation of the PPT, Niu Xingwang introduced the first business in detail. A group of settlement members gasped when they heard this. What a grand plan! What a strong strength! 1,200 large-scale unmanned transport aircraft. Is this the strength of a non-governmental organization? Even the council probably wouldn't dare to boast like this, right? Those who originally held a perfunctory attitude, those who thought that the Huituang Chamber of Commerce was only using the council to get to the top, became serious and faced it squarely. This Huituang Chamber of Commerce is definitely not simple. Next, let's talk about the second business, crystal nucleus recycling. This will be a long-term business, with no limit on the number of recyclables and no limit on the recycling period. Anyone, regardless of the number of crystal nuclei they possess, can exchange them at any branch of the Chamber of Commerce. The crystal nucleus exchange price list is open and transparent, with fair prices for all. In order to facilitate everyone's flexible purchase of the Chamber of Commerce's goods, we will uniformly convert the crystal nuclei into electronic points. This will be the third business I want to clarify. The third business, membership points card. Organizations and individuals who need to trade in the Chamber of Commerce must first apply for a membership points card. With a points card, subsequent other transactions can be realized. At the same time, the points obtained from exchanging crystal nuclei will also be directly transferred to the membership points card. Chapter 157 Strong Reply. This is essentially electronic currency. However, Huaguo does not permit individuals or private organizations to issue currency or tokens. Therefore, to ensure the smooth operation of the business, some restrictions have been placed on it. For example, these points can currently only circulate within chambers of commerce and trade unions, and are used to exchange for other goods or services. As for whether they can be used as currency in the future, that is a matter for the future. In fact, as long as this kind of electronic points become popular among the people, it will actually have realized the function of currency in a disguised form, only with a different name. However, even though it was said very euphemistically, several representatives of the councillors attending the celebration still showed some dissatisfaction. In order to ensure that member points can flow seamlessly between various branches, we will also establish a dedicated network communication system. This network system will be able to achieve data intercommunication and provide members with an additional value-added service. This is the fourth service provided by our Chamber of Commerce, network communication. Speaking of this, the atmosphere at the scene finally reached a climax. Pairs of shocked eyes gathered from the audience. Users who apply for a membership points card will automatically become members of the Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild. Members only need to pay a small amount of points each month to achieve nationwide interconnection. The usage method is no different from the previous internet, but it is faster, more efficient, and more powerful. How is your data communication achieved? A participant stood up and asked. May I ask who you are? Niu Xingwang asked politely, seeing that someone had interrupted him. Oh, I am a representative sent by Councillor Wu Shengrong of the Land Administration Department. The person explained. Our network communication relies on ground communication towers. As mentioned earlier, We will build a Chamber of Commerce branch in every settlement, and we will also set up a mercenary guild branch. Each mercenary guild branch will deploy a high-power signal transmission tower. These signal transmission towers will form a network matrix, through which data interconnection can be achieved, Niu Xingwang explained. So far, the main businesses of our Chamber of Commerce have been basically introduced. If you have any questions, you can raise them in turn. Where do your unmanned transport aircraft come from? Someone asked. Sorry, it is currently a trade secret and will not be disclosed to the public for the time being. However, whether the transport aircraft are in place or not, everyone will naturally know when the project is advanced. Niu Xingwang replied. What do you do with so many crystal cores that you recycle? Another person asked. These crystal cores will be deeply processed and eventually form various commodities for sale in the Chamber of Commerce and Trade Union. Niu Xingwang replied. You have the technology to extract crystal cores. Why don't you make it public? Someone asked sternly. Sorry, this is a trade secret of our Chamber of Commerce and we have no obligation to make it public. Niu Xingwang replied coldly. I believe that your membership points business is actually a disguised form of issuing currency. How do you explain this? Membership points are only to provide convenience for members of the Chamber of Commerce and Trade Union, and are not open to others. This is our Chamber of Commerce's internal business, and I don't think I need to explain it to you. Niu Xingwang directly retorted. I believe that this business should be managed by the council. Once the interests of the general public are harmed, your Chamber of Commerce cannot afford it. If the council agrees to issue points publicly in the form of currency, then our Chamber of Commerce can open the port and accept council supervision. Niu Xingwang replied. The questioner stopped talking without even thinking about it. It was known that this issue could not be achieved at all. The council's overall policy is to hope that the settlements will be autonomous and not wait for the council to provide funding. If a unified monetary policy is to be implemented, the problem will return to the previous state. Whether cold numbers have value depends entirely on the stability of the council's policies. But this is a mutually contradictory problem. If the council has such strength and can stabilize the national economy, how could it be forced to take the path of settlement autonomy? Niu Xingwang dared to suppress the audience in such a strong way because he had the strength to back him up. Almost all of the participants at the scene were council officials. On the one hand, they hoped that the Chamber of Commerce's technology could bring them convenience, and on the other hand, they put on a superior attitude. The situation is different now. The sense of superiority of the official standard in the past is no longer feasible now. Strength is part of the right to speak, and it is the part that plays a decisive role. I want to know, will your unmanned transport aircraft be sold to the outside world? A soldier stood up and asked. It has not yet been decided whether unmanned transport aircraft will be sold to the outside world. However, I want to emphasize that even if they are sold to the outside world, our Chamber of Commerce will not accept orders from the military. Niu Xingwang replied. The soldier was unhappy when he heard this. This officer, don't misunderstand. What I mean is that the military's business will be handled by others. I think several military region commanders know about this. Niu Xingwang explained. The officer understood and stopped talking. Chapter 158 Zhang Yuanke's public speech. However, Niu Xingwang's answer revealed a hidden meaning to the others. The Chamber of Commerce was already doing business with several military regions, its background unfathomably deep. They thought it best not to offend the Chamber of Commerce in the future. Alright, next, let's invite Mr. Yan Shan, the president of the Mercenary Guild, to introduce the guild's business to everyone. After speaking, Niu Xingwang handed the stage to Zhang Yuanke. Hello everyone. The Mercenary Guild was also established as an effective supplement to the functions of the resettlement camps. I believe everyone deeply understands that the defense force of the resettlement camps is weak, which has always been a difficult problem. I think the reasons for this are nothing more than a few points. First, there is a shortage of supplies, which is a long-standing problem facing the resettlement camps. Supporting people requires consuming resources, including the daily training, food, accommodation, wages, and medical support of security personnel. This has led to most resettlement camps not having the preconditions to build a large-scale security force. Secondly, the hardware facilities are incomplete. Training grounds, commuting vehicles, defense facilities, and so on are all incomplete. I would like to ask everyone present, which resettlement camps have built large-scale defense works in the past 6 months? How many commuting vehicles are used for security? Which resettlement camps have established independent office buildings specifically for security team members for office work and training? If the above reasons are secondary, Then the problem I am going to talk about next is the biggest obstacle to the development of security forces in the resettlement camps: weapons and equipment. So far, the production capacity of weapons and equipment is less than 1/10 of what it used to be, and it is basically not open to the public. Unless they have geographical advantages, almost all resettlement camps only have some light firepower in the police department, mainly pistols and portable submachine guns. Moreover, the stock of ammunition is very small and cannot be regenerated. It can be said that every bullet consumed is one less. Therefore, everyone will definitely not use a single bullet unless absolutely necessary. Isn't that right? Some people nodded below, and some chuckled. Obviously, their weaknesses had been exposed. Zhang Yuanka's inherent composure and perseverance easily created a natural persuasiveness. Therefore, although his eloquence was not very good, the content was down to earth and had a unique appeal. Another problem is that the security personnel recruited from the public have limited professional skills. In the absence of training, their discipline is not high, they are not familiar with the use of weapons, they are not familiar with fighting skills, and they are not even clear about some basic defense skills. This results in difficulty in managing personnel and a high mortality rate. Speaking of mortality, there is another constraint, and that is medical conditions. Security team members are undoubtedly the group with the highest injury coefficient, the highest infection rate, and the greatest risk of death among the population. In addition, the virus has an almost 100% mortality rate, which makes this industry a high mortality industry. If it were not for the need to make a living, almost no one would choose to engage in this job. 4. Our resettlement camps, there is another constraint that prevents everyone from investing resources, and that is that the security force is a purely consuming department. There is only input, no output. These are some of the practical problems that I have summarized in the development of security forces in most resettlement camps. Next, I will explain how we solve these problems by introducing the business of the mercenary guild. The first business of our mercenary guild is equipment leasing. As the name suggests, the public can lease weapons and equipment from the mercenary guild through leasing. The price of the lease will be announced to the public in the form of a quotation, and the price is open and transparent, with no deception to the young or old. At this point, everyone laughed. Because Niu Xingwang had just used the word too. Currently, our guild does not offer many categories of weapons and equipment. Today, I would like to take this opportunity to give you a brief introduction. The first piece of equipment is the Guardsman Type 2 combat suit. At that moment, Zhang Yuanqing introduced the main characteristics and usage methods of the Guardsman Type 2 combat suit. At the same time, he called on a mercenary member to demonstrate it on the spot. This introduction directly caused an uproar in the audience. So far, only Yan Zhangping's southwest military region and Zhuang Zhanggai's southeast military region have equipped some soldiers with combat suits. The northeast military region and the northwest military region have only learned about them through Yan Zhangping's introduction and have not started equipping them yet. However, they knew that this equipment also needed to be purchased through other channels, so they would not make any statements at this moment among the heads of the resettlement camps, except for Mayor Gong Kaming and Mayor Zhuo Wenchen. The others had never even heard of it. Therefore, the meeting had to be suspended at this moment to give most of the attendees time to digest the information. A divine weapon. It's simply a divine weapon, it's simply the nemesis of zombies. With such equipment, the safety of the resettlement camp can finally be guaranteed. Everyone talked to each other in private, and it was obvious that they highly recognized this equipment. A few minutes later, the order at the scene finally stabilized. Zhang Yuanka continued to speak. However, there are two preconditions for this business to be carried out smoothly. Chapter 159 Mercenary Union Business. Everyone focused their attention. The first prerequisite is that the renter must first obtain Chamber of Commerce certification and obtain a member points card. Why must you first apply for a member points card? Because the cost of equipment rental is directly deducted through the member points card. This is also one of the reasons for the bundle development of the Mercenary Guild and the Huituang Chamber of Commerce. The second prerequisite is that personnel renting equipment for the first time need a guarantee from the resettlement camp where they are located. Everyone was puzzled, so Zhang Yuanqi explained, I mentioned earlier that there is a fee for renting equipment, and members who rent equipment for the first time may not be able to pay this fee. Based on humanitarian principles, we do not recommend that members hunt zombies to earn this fee without obtaining equipment. So how do we solve this? We have to thank the Huituang Chamber of Commerce for this. They are willing to provide members who want to rent equipment with a one-time interest-free loan of points for 1 month. As long as the renter obtains enough crystals within 1 month, they can repay this loan of points. But to get this loan of points, the resettlement camp needs to provide a guarantee. Of course, you can think about it from another perspective. As long as they are members of this resettlement camp, the risk of guaranteeing is not great. And you don't need to provide any resources, you can have a reliable security team. What is this risk? As soon as Zhang Yuankui said this, everyone dispelled their concerns. That's right, isn't the risk of not having security forces greater than the risk of guaranteeing? These words were also learned by Zhang Yuankui from Dongfang Chen and Niu Xingwang. He himself did not have such thinking and pattern. Okay, after introducing the Guardsman Type 2 combat suit, let me introduce a weapon, the Guardsman Type 2 laser gun. Zhang Yuankui introduced the performance characteristics of the Type 2 laser gun. Guns do not bring as much impact as protective suits. Therefore, although the heads of the various resettlement camps felt that this gun was not bad, and that the resettlement camp could be equipped with zero investment, they were still very satisfied, but not shocked. But this time it was the military's turn to be uneasy. Yan Zhangping was okay. Rong Po and his party had already brought back relevant news after completing their training at the base. Zhuang Zhangyu was also okay. Although he was shocked, he knew some inside information and was not too surprised. But the soldiers in the other 2 military regions all stood up in a commotion. The Type I laser gun was indeed a bit tasteless for the military. The scope of application was not as large as traditional guns, and the damage was just average, so when Yan Zhangping saw it for the first time, he was not interested. But the Type 2 laser gun is different. Not only has the scope of application greatly increased, but the most important thing is that it can cause damage to high-level zombies, which is incredible. The damage of the gunpowder used in traditional guns has an upper limit. Although heavy firepower has great damage, it is not very mobile, and the loss is too great. This Type 2 laser gun can perfectly replace traditional submachine guns and greatly improve the combat effectiveness of the army. Another key point is that the rechargeable energy bar can greatly reduce the dependence on bullets and has strong sustainability. Type 2 laser guns will have special channels for sales to the military. Please be patient, Zhang Yuankui said reassuringly when he saw the military people standing up. Everyone sat down after hearing this. Combat suits and laser guns, as standard equipment for mercenaries, can be rented as a set. These 2 pieces of equipment can basically meet small-scale combat scenarios. Zhang Yuankui continued. Next are some optional expansion equipment. I will give a general description. If you need to know more, you can go to the Mercenary Guild for consultation later. First item, long-range walkie-talkie, mercenary version. Used for combat communication, supports point-to-point and team modes. The function is similar to the first-generation bone microphone, but for ease of use, it does not use a miniature implanted design and can be worn freely. Second item, small unmanned carrier. This small unmanned carrier has a full load capacity of 10 people and is used to provide commuting services for mercenaries. It is charged based on the combination of kilometers and duration. Currently, the equipment provided by the guild for rent is these. Next, I will talk about the second business sector of the guild, equipment sales. We obtained the agency rights for this business from the Huituang Chamber of Commerce. Since the main business of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce is to provide sales and transportation of civilian materials, in order to facilitate management, we are responsible for the business of combat equipment. Among the equipment mentioned above, except for the small unmanned carrier, the other 3 pieces of equipment will be sold to the public. The third business, security training and support. We provide resettlement camps with security personnel training for a fee, including physical training, combat skills, fighting skills, equipment use, etc. At the same time, we will hire a certain number of people from various resettlement camps as resident mercenaries of the Mercenary Guild. In addition to receiving free training, they can also receive commissions in the form of member points. These resident mercenaries can also provide security support for organizations and individuals in the resettlement camp who need it. Chapter 160 Zhangzhangayu, S-Test. Fourth business, security collaboration. When the settlement encounters a crisis, the Mercenary Guild will cooperate with a command to jointly respond to the crisis and maintain security. Fifth business, armed escort. This is simple, providing paid armed escort services for organizations and individuals. The cost is comprehensively calculated based on the level of danger, distance, and number of personnel. Okay, I won't introduce some other businesses one by one. If you need anything, you can always go to the Mercenary Guild for consultation and understanding. Oh, right, let me add something. Currently, We have a group of new trainees undergoing actual combat training, using the latest Type 2 laser guns. After the meeting, I will arrange a plane to take you officers to observe on site. Zhang Yuankui didn't bother to solicit their opinions. After the meeting, he would arrange for staff to take the military personnel directly to the mercenary guild. According to Dongfang Chen's instructions, the underground base tour would not be open to them for the time being. After speaking, Zhang Yuankui returned the stage to the host. Thank you, guild leader Tian Shan, for the detailed explanation. That's all for the morning. In the afternoon, Chairman Niu of our Huituang Chamber of Commerce will introduce the specific matters of branch establishment. Next is lunchtime. Please move to the banquet hall. If you have any questions, you can consult the staff around you. The military didn't need to participate in the afternoon's content, so after the meeting, they went to the mercenary guild directly, led by the staff. Yan Xiangping and Zhuang Zhenyu, the two commanders, didn't go. After lunch, they found an office to chat. Old Yan, thank you for the reminder about the last matter, otherwise I would have almost made a big mistake. Zhuang Zhenyu said, stop with that. Is that how you express your gratitude? Just moving your lips. What kind of thanks is that? Yan Xiangping laughed. What else can I do? Among the several military regions, only your southwest military region is rolling in money. Would you even care about my meager offerings? Zhuang Zhenyu said without blushing. That was earned by the soldiers fighting bloody battles. What does it have to do with you, kid? Yan Xiangping glanced at him. Come on. You strongly supported the Huituang Chamber of Commerce regarding the missile launcher matter last time. The benefits you received couldn't have been small, right? Zhuang Zhenyu didn't believe it. Don't talk nonsense. I only conveyed the other party's conditions. Everyone voted. Who supported whom? How did I support them? Yan Xiangping didn't admit it. There's one thing you overlooked. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce doesn't do business with the military. What kind of business dealings could you have with the Huituang Chamber of Commerce? You can fool others with that lie, but you can't fool me, Zhuang Zhenyu retorted. I say I have them, so I have them. Is it any of your business? Yan Xiangping didn't plan to explain any further. The more he explained, the more loopholes there would be, so he simply started acting like a rogue. I'm just wondering, how did Fang, that girl, get on Dongfang Chen's good side? Zhuang Zhenyu seemed to be talking to himself, but it was clearly meant for Yan Xiangping to hear. You know Dongfang Chen? Yan Xiangping was taken aback. This kid is usually very careful and rarely shows his face in front of outsiders. How did Zhuang Zhenyu find out? Therefore, the most likely possibility is that Dongfang Chen contacted him proactively. But why would Dongfang Chen contact him proactively? It was probably because of the zombie siege incident. Before thinking of this, Yan Xiangping smiled slightly and replied, sure. Of course. Aren't you worried that I'll get my hands on the supply of goods? Zhuang Zhenyu asked. What do I have to worry about? I told you before, I didn't arrange for Fang to have the military agency rights. I couldn't even interfere. Do you think you, Zhuang Zhenyu, have more advantages than me? What happened in the end? You were turned down, right? Yan Xiangping teased. Zhuang Zhenyu didn't believe it before, but after his last contact with Dongfang Chen, he believed it. He was just saying this today to confirm it. As long as Yan Xiangping didn't get the agency rights, he would feel balanced. What exactly is Dongfang Chen's background? From my observation, the technology he possesses, even pre-crisis China, didn't have. Because of this, I even specifically had the archives department check the electronic files backed up in the military database. Zhuang Zhenyu said, oh? What did you find? Yan Xiangping was also a little curious. He didn't know either. Looks like you don't know either. Zhuang Zhenyu observed Yan Xiangping's expression and smiled slyly. Stop with that. Just get to the point. Yan Xiangping glared at him. The files show that he originally graduated from Kyoto University as a top student. His parents' information is blank, and his guardian is an old woman, presumably his grandmother. However, this old woman passed away a few years ago. Judging from his social security data and tax payment information, he never worked after graduation and had no stable income. Zhuang Zhenyu said. Anything else? Yan Xiangping asked. There's some other information that's a bit strange. Zhuang Zhenyu was being mysterious. Just say the important points. Yan Xiangping urged. In the few months before the virus outbreak, he registered 23 companies almost on the same day. And he made a lot of investments in a very short period of time. And then, Yan Xiangping asked. After talking for so long, he still hadn't gotten to the point. That's all, Zhuang Zhenyu said. Chapter 161, The 2S Speculation. Gone. Yan Zhangping didn't believe it. Yes, gone. Zhong Zhenyu affirmed. So, Lao Zhuang, are you teasing me? Yan Zhangping asked, glaring at him. Yan Zhangping listened for a long time, but heard nothing of substance. How could I? I'm telling you, I think there are two very big doubts here, Zhong Zhenyu said, leaning closer. What doubts? Yan Zhangping asked curiously. The first doubt is that, according to the information, Dongfang Chen doesn't seem to have any assets, yet he mobilized tens of billions of funds in a very short period of time. How did he do it? There's also another doubt. Before the virus outbreak, he obtained a municipal project through donations, and the contractor was Niu Wang, the current chairman of the Huatuang Chamber of Commerce. What's so doubtful about that? Yan Zhangping asked. At first, I didn't think there was anything to it. But someone mentioned something that instantly made my hair stand on end, Zhong Zhenyu said, playing mysterious. What did they say? Yan Zhangping asked. A comrade from the archives inadvertently said, could the purpose of donating this project be to build an underground base? Zhong Zhenyu said. Yan Zhangping fell silent. If Dongfang Chen started planning to build an underground base through a series of actions before the virus outbreak, then this matter is too strange. These are all your guesses, Yan Zhangping said. If it were just guesses, why would I even bother saying anything? To verify my guess, I ordered people to check the detailed information of this project again. Guess what I found inside? Zhong Zhenyu asked. What did you find? A construction blueprint of an underground base, Zhong Zhenyu said, word by word. Did you bring the blueprint? Yan Zhangping asked. He had been to Dongfang Chen's base. He had had these doubts before, but he hadn't investigated them deeply. But since Zhong Zhenyu had already investigated today, as long as he looked at the blueprint, he could determine whether the project Zhong Zhenyu was referring to was Dongfang Chen's underground base. If Dongfang Chen's base was really built before the virus outbreak, then the amount of information reflected here would be too much. I brought it, I'll get it for you. Saying that, Zhong Zhenyu took out a stack of documents from his briefcase. Yan Zhangping took the documents and flipped through them page by page. He didn't understand design, and he couldn't understand the blueprints, but he could roughly see the layout of the project from the blueprints. He quickly flipped through them, looking for places he might have been. Suddenly, he stopped at a blueprint. That's right, it is. This blueprint was officially the original layout of the second underground floor where Dongfang Chen's office was located. The project location and the location Yan Zhangping arrived at when he first came to Dongfang Chen's place were the same, both in Binjiang Park. Yan Zhangping put down the blueprint and fell into deep thought. Lao Yan. This matter is no small matter. If this Dongfang Chen started building the underground base before the virus outbreak, then it means he already knew the virus would break out in advance. Think about what that means. Zhong Zhenyu looked at Yan Zhangping, and Yan Zhangping also looked at him. After a moment of pause, he continued, it means either he is a prophet, or the outbreak of this virus is related to him. Yan Zhangping felt a tightness in his heart when he heard this guess. A prophet was impossible. How could there be such an absurd person as a prophet in this world? They were all firm atheists, and it was impossible to believe in such mysterious things. Then there was another possibility. The outbreak of the virus was related to him. If this hypothesis was true, then it could also explain why he knew the characteristics of the virus so well, why he could produce antigen serum, why he knew the characteristics of zombies. All these questions would be explained, but even if it was related to him, there were still some things that didn't make sense. Where did the equipment and weapons he produced come from? This required a strong research and development team to conduct a large number of experiments behind the scenes. Even the council couldn't assemble a research and development team with such capabilities. So why could Dongfang Chen? I think the possibility of him being a prophet is unlikely. Otherwise, he wouldn't have seemed so unaware of the Red Coat sect in this light. The outbreak of the virus is likely to have a great relationship with him. Zhong Zhenyu stated his conclusion. Is it possible that Dongfang Chen has a strong research and development team? And these achievements are the research results of the research and development team? Yan Zhangping asked. Even so, it doesn't explain why he would start preparing the underground base before the virus outbreak, does it? Zhong Zhenyu said. Judging from the time he registered the company was not before the virus appeared. You should be clear about this. The city where the virus first appeared was Binjiang City. If I remember correctly, the first case of infection in Binjiang City was discovered at the end of June last year, right? The information shows that Dongfang Chen invested in the project in early July, which is not contradictory. Do you mean that in just a few days after the virus appeared, he completely figured out the characteristics of the virus and had already foreseen that it would break out completely? It's not impossible. How strong would his scientific research strength have to be? Zongzhen Yu didn't quite believe it. I'll reveal some information to you, and you'll believe it, Yan Zhangping said. Oh, Zongzhen Yu looked at him curiously. Chapter 162 Yan Zhangping's Revelations. 2 months ago, Dongfang Chen borrowed 10 assault team members from me through Fangfang Tract as instructors, training the recruits he recruited for his base. He didn't say that Dongfang Chen directly talked to him. Saying that would lead people to mistakenly believe that there was some kind of close relationship between him and Dongfang Chen. Originally, this was a trivial matter, and I didn't pay attention to it at the time, but a few days ago, after those 10 assault team members returned, they reported some information. The team leader said that there were tens of thousands of combat robots in Dongfang Chen's base. What? Zongzhen Yu was shocked. With such a huge military force, during this special period, it would not be impossible to subvert the entire Hui nation. Moreover, the Hui nation's military and political departments, subordinate military-industrial departments, had already started related research on combat robot projects many years ago, but so far, they have not achieved substantial results. Those robots are agile and cooperate tacitly, and their combat effectiveness in exercises should not be underestimated. I just don't know how effective they will be in actual combat. However, judging from the past, none of the things Dongfang Chen has produced have been useless. So the combat effectiveness of these robots should not be bad, Yan Zhangping analyzed. Then it seems that Dongfang Chen's strong scientific research strength has been confirmed. Zongzhen Yu nodded. There are even more unimaginable things, Yan Zhangping said. What is it? Zongzhen Yu asked. Right here, where we are, Dongfang Chen has built a huge crop production warehouse, the scale of which can guarantee the food supply for 100,000 people. And, Yan Zhangping deliberately paused here. And what? Zongzhen Yu asked. Moreover, it is unmanned, purely mechanized and intelligent production. There is not a single person in the entire production base. Right here, Zongzhen Yu was shocked. That's right here, Yan Zhangping affirmed. How did you know? Zongzhen Yu expressed his suspicion. Because my people came to visit, and these are all things they saw with their own eyes, Yan Zhangping replied. Yan Zhangping was willing to say this because Dongfang Chen himself didn't intend to hide it. He also deliberately used Rongpo's mouth to convey this information, the purpose of which was to allow people to generally understand his strength. Rongpo also brought back a sentence from Dongfang Chen that he asked him to relay. The secrets you know are all the things I want you to know. Therefore, it doesn't matter much whether he hides these things or not. If he doesn't say it, Dongfang Chen will choose to contact the Southeast Military Region, or even other military regions, which is not a good thing for him. Moreover, strength must either not be displayed, or once displayed, it must make people feel apprehensive. If people think you are a chicken that can be plundered at will, then this kind of display is just courting death, and at the very least, it is asking for trouble. Doesn't that mean that the underground base in Binzhou is almost 1/3 the size of our Massing base? Zongzhen Yu said. Then you underestimate this place too much? According to my estimation, the scale here has already exceeded the Massing base, Yan Zhangping said contemptuously. That's impossible, right? Zongzhen Yu couldn't accept it for a while originally. He thought that his understanding of Dongfang Chen had surpassed Yan Zhangping. He didn't expect to be crushed by him after all. How is it impossible? So far, the Massing base has only just started construction not long ago, and this place is almost completed. In terms of speed, the construction speed here is obviously much faster than the Massing base. So when our base is successfully built, how big do you think this place can reach? That's one thing. The agricultural department is still in the stage of further experimental demonstration of the fully enclosed agricultural ecological system, right? This place has already started to build a large number of production warehouses. To put it bluntly, it is still unknown to what extent the Massing base can be built by then. But here, it is already a certainty. Then what do you say if we suggest to the council to let Dongfang Chen participate in the construction of the Massing base? Zongzhen Yu had a whim. Why do you think the military was taken to the mercenary guild today? Yan Zhangping said. You mean, Dongfang Chen doesn't want the military to intervene? Zongzhen Yu reacted. That's right. Originally we came uninvited today, and this may not be within his plan. Yan Zhangping guessed. Zongzhen Yu nodded. It's best if you just know about this matter for the time being, and don't mention it in the council. If you don't grasp the measure well, I'm worried that you will push Dongfang Chen to the opposite side of the council. If that's the case, the situation will be even more complicated. Yan Zhangping suggested with a frown. This is the most annoying thing for him. Yan Zhangping asked himself, with the strength that Dongfang Chen showed, all the strength of the southwest military region combined could not beat him once he goes to the opposite side of the council. The consequences are unimaginable. If at the beginning, Yan Zhangping chose to speak for Dongfang Chen because he indirectly obtained benefits from Yan Fangfang, then now, he is forced to do so due to the situation. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, Visiting the Underground Base. There was another reason why he was unwilling to report to the council that Dongfang Chen had the ability to build underground bases. It was that some council members were too arrogant and domineering. If this matter were brought to the council, there was a high probability that it would provoke a conflict between the council and Dongfang Chen. Oh well. Let's not mention it for now. Zhongzhen Yu agreed, at least from the current point of view, Dongfang Chen's existence is a good thing for China. The information he provided has given us time to prepare in advance, and the equipment and medicines he provided have saved the lives of tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians. As long as he doesn't do evil, let's keep this matter a secret for now. Yan Zhangping said. Zhongzhen Yu nodded while the two were chatting. The afternoon meeting began. Niu Xingwang took the stage and began to explain the relevant matters of setting up branches in various resettlement areas. Originally, the heads of the resettlement areas were not very interested in this session. However, after the morning meeting, everyone had a new understanding of the convenience that the Chamber of Commerce and the trade union could bring to the resettlement areas. This changed everyone's original views. After discussing with each other at noon, they generally believed that it was a great thing for the Chamber of Commerce to set up branches in the resettlement areas at this time. Guang Kaming regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Originally, all this glory belonged to his Milan resettlement area, but he pushed this opportunity out because he was worried about losing power. After a complex weighing of the pros and cons, he also figured it out. It was impossible for Niu Xingwang to set up the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce in Milan and build such an underground base there without gaining real power. But if he gave the position of the top leader to Niu Xingwang, how much would Milan's development have to do with him? At least now, Milan still has the first branch of the Chamber of Commerce, and the power is still in his hands, which is enough. Next, I will talk about some of the rigid conditions required for the construction of the Chamber of Commerce branch. First, our resettlement area needs to provide at least 10 hectares of construction land for the construction of the office buildings of the Chamber of Commerce and the trade union branch. Of course, it is paid. In exchange, we will open an integral account for the resettlement area and transfer the land payment to it. The resettlement area can freely dispose of this integral. Second, the person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce and the trade union needs the resettlement area to arrange a position at the level of deputy commander of the headquarters. In this way, it can improve work efficiency and the closeness of cooperation between the two parties. Third, provide convenience for the branch's recruitment work. Fourth, the total population of the resettlement area is not less than 100,000 people. Everyone can consider it. Those in charge who intend to cooperate can sign a letter of intent after the meeting. We will send people to conduct on-site inspections according to the order of the contract, and the construction of the branch will be implemented as soon as possible after the on-site inspection. After an hour of discussion in QU0026A, everyone basically understood. Subsequently, the resettlement areas that intended to cooperate went to Qingyi to sign letters of intent. The number of branches planned to be built in the first batch was 20, and the places were quickly snatched up. Some who were still watching and hesitating began to regret it when they heard that the places were gone. People are like this. When the pie is placed in front of them, everyone hesitates and worries that it is a trap. After the pie is divided, they begin to regret it. In short, with the help of the council's east wind, the development of the Huatuang Chamber of Commerce has finally successfully entered the fast lane. Dongfang Chen's task of building underground bases for most resettlement areas within 3 years has the prerequisites for completion. After the meeting, under the leadership of the staff, everyone began to visit the underground base of the Chamber of Commerce headquarters in an orderly manner. The narrator focused on introducing the power system, air circulation system, water circulation system, and production warehouse in the base. According to the prior training, as the understanding deepened, everyone unconsciously associated this underground base with the 2055 Human Survival White Paper promulgated by the Council. However, The plans and technologies announced in the white paper are far from enough compared with the underground base of the Chamber of Commerce, and can even be said to be incomparable. Everyone along the way regarded themselves as outsiders and regarded this place as a lively scene. But no one dared to imagine that their resettlement area would also build such a base until the visit to the production warehouse. Unlike when Rongpo came, there were many robots working busily at that time. At this time, the transfer hall was very clean. This is the transfer hall of the production warehouse. As you can see, there are dozens of access doors on the left and right sides. These doors lead to different production warehouses. Now, please follow my steps to warehouse number 1, the narrator said while leading everyone to the door of warehouse number 1. The narrator put a temporarily made pass card close to the sensing window of the warehouse number 1 door, and the data began to be verified on the hatch door. Then, accompanied by a burst of thick mechanical transmission sound, the hatch door slowly opened to both sides. Everyone entered successively under the leadership of the narrator. Warehouse number 1 is a wheat planting warehouse. The planting warehouse is fully enclosed and unattended. The warehouse simulates the most suitable environmental conditions for wheat growth and forms a stable closed ecosystem, the narrator said. Chapter 164. Two counselors meet Dongfang Chen. As soon as everyone entered the warehouse, they opened their mouths in shock. Their location was a passageway like the main base's production warehouse. The passageway had production warehouses on both sides, each completely sealed with glass. The warehouse doors had electronic screens displaying various environmental indicators inside. Too advanced. If there are enough of these production warehouses, the food problem will be completely solved, people whispered. Currently, the production warehouses in the base that have been built and put into operation cover 32 different categories of crops, including common varieties such as grains, vegetables, and poultry. At the same time, in order to extend the shelf life, enrich the types of food, and facilitate storage and transportation, we have also built several food production lines. I believe that it won't be long before everyone can see our products. Little girl, are you saying that the food produced will be available for external sales? Someone asked. Yes, the materials produced by the Chamber of Commerce will be distributed to the Chamber of Commerce branches in various settlements through the logistics network, and everyone can freely exchange them using Chamber of Commerce points. The guide explained the main purpose of Dongfang Chen allowing the heads of various settlements to visit the production warehouse was this: he wanted to create a strong sense of urgency in the heads of each settlement, wanting to immediately cooperate with the Chamber of Commerce. This goal, obviously, was achieved. Inside the main base, Dongfang Chen was concentrating on watching the screen. Suddenly, a prompt for a call came on. Hello, Dongfang Chen answered the phone. Xiao Chen, are you at the base? It was Yan Xiangping's voice on the other end. Dongfang Chen looked up at the screen, one of which showed the scene in Yan Xiangping's office. He and Zhang Zhangai were together. Yes, Commander Yan, is there anything I can do for you? Dongfang Chen asked. I also came to the celebration of the establishment of the new headquarters of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce today, Yan Xiangping said. The Huituang Chamber of Commerce has a lot of face, even moving you, a counselor, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Stop with the pleasantries since it's on your territory. There's no way you don't have this information. I'm calling to take a look at your combat robots with Zhang Zhangai, Yan Xiangping said. Okay, then come over, Dongfang Chen said. How do we get there? Yan Xiangping asked while making eye contact with Zhang Zhangai, preparing to leave the office without Dongfang Chen's guidance. They would not be able to enter the main base at all now. Dongfang Chen already had enough power to protect himself, otherwise he would not have arranged for so many people to visit the base. Dongfang Chen guided the two to a secure elevator via phone. Ding. Authorized. The encrypted elevator door opened automatically with the electronic sound. The two step into it. Select key 0. Yan Xiangping pressed key 0. And the elevator started. 30 minutes later, Dongfang Chen was already waiting at the exit. You kid, you've hollowed out the underground of Binjiang City, haven't you? Yan Xiangping joked as he walked out of the elevator. Almost. Dongfang Chen replied with a smile. Yan Xiangping was stunned. He was just joking, but he didn't expect this kid to actually do it. Commander Zhang, we meet again. Dongfang Chen also greeted Zhang Zhangai. Goodness, the scale of your underground base is huge, Zhang Zhangai exclaimed. It's alright, if you want to save your life, you have to work harder, Dongfang Chen said, half hinting and half joking. Haha, Zhang Zhangai understood what he meant and laughed heartily. This way, please. Dongfang Chen guided the two towards the training area. You should want to see this, right? Dongfang Chen asked. pointing to the 30-centimeter-high bionic spider robot in the middle of the training area. So small, Yan Zhangping was a little surprised, which was inconsistent with his understanding. A height of 30 centimeters is less than a person's knee, which is indeed not very large. This combat robot isn't very big, but small has its advantages, Dongfang Chen said. Oh? Tell me about it. Yan Zhangping didn't quite understand. The bigger it is, the more materials are wasted, and the weight will also increase significantly, which will lead to greater energy consumption. In addition, the larger the volume, the larger the target, and the more vulnerable it is to attack, and the higher the damage rate, Dongfang Chen explained simply. That's true, Yan Zhangping agreed. Tell me, what was your purpose in deliberately letting Rongpo take this information back to me last time? Yan Zhangping asked. What, is Commander Yan planning to turn around and bite me? You sent Rongpo to explore the secrets of the base. I just cooperated a little. How did it become my deliberate act? Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Alright, I can't win against you. Just tell me, what is the purpose of deliberately revealing this information? Yan Zhangping asked. Haha, not only to you, but starting today, some of the base's secrets will be known to the entire country. Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Yan Zhangping and Zhuang Zhangyu exchanged surprised glances. Xiao Chen, you wouldn't have opened the base for those people in the settlements to visit, would you? Yan Zhangping suddenly thought of a possibility. That's right, Dongfang Chen admitted generously. Chapter 165. Who is causing trouble? Xiao Chen, you're crazy. Do you know how big the risk of doing this is? Yan Zhangping became serious. How big can it be? Dongfang Chen asked with a grin as usual. You can still laugh. You're really making me angry. Yan Zhangping glanced at him, his anger rising. Alice, he's still young after all. Too reckless. Zhuang Zhangyu also shook his head. Dongfang Chen was quite satisfied with the two's reactions. As the saying goes, concern causes confusion. The fact that the two were worried about him at least showed that they cared about him. Don't be anxious, two counselors. There's a reason why I chose to reveal some of the secrets. Dongfang Chen also became serious. The two looked at Dongfang Chen, waiting for him to continue. I've already revealed to you before that the ecological crisis will fully erupt in at most 2 years. But this time is not the start time of the crisis, but the time when the crisis is completely formed. This means that for a long time before the crisis truly forms, the blue star's ecosystem will have been gradually affected. It's just that the impact is relatively small at the beginning. The two nodded. They had also considered this issue. The molecular light film will be formed in 3 years, but before it is formed, it does not mean that it has no impact on blue star, but the impact has not reached its maximum. So, the time left for me is not much. My plan is to export relevant technologies to Huatuang Chamber of Commerce, and let Huatuang Chamber of Commerce undertake the construction projects of underground survival bases in various resettlement sites. Dongfang Chen said his plan. What? The two were shocked again. The two don't need to be surprised. In fact, the operation method is not difficult. It's following the old path of the real estate industry in China. Dongfang Chen said this was originally a matter for the council, but the council decisively gave up. After their evaluation, building one would be good enough. As for the various resettlement sites, they can only provide a technical solution, and the rest, they can only find their own way unexpectedly. Dongfang Chen actually wanted to do something that the council could not do. Even so, your approach is too reckless. Have you ever thought about the consequences of doing this? Not only may you not be able to achieve your ultimate goal, but you may also become the target of public criticism. Once the various resettlement sites attack you together, your situation will be quite bad. Yan Zhangping said. Attack me together? Forget it. If they can unite, I, Dongfang Chen, am willing to admit defeat. Dongfang Chen was extremely confident. It's almost impossible under normal circumstances, but now everyone knows that Binjiang has a big fat sheep, so it's different. Yan Zhangping still insisted on his point of view. It's the same. You've seen people gather together because of faith, but have you ever seen them gather together because they want to rob? So rest assured, this scene will not happen. Dongfang Chen comforted. You're dancing on the edge of a knife. Yan Zhangping shook his head helplessly. Commander Yan, since you first came here, I have been dancing on the edge of a knife. Dongfang Chen smiled. Yan Zhangping recalled the scene when he first came here by plane last year, and thought it was true at that time. As long as he gave an order, this base would definitely be destroyed. My choice to reveal some secrets at this time is after careful planning. Commander Yan doesn't need to worry about this. It's no exaggeration to say that if I dare to reveal it, I have the confidence to defend it." Seeing that the two were not speaking, Dongfang Chen continued, "If you can really do it, then you will have saved most of the people of China with your own strength. This achievement is unprecedented." Yan Zhangping no longer struggled. "I haven't thought about whether it's an achievement or not. The ones who can really save everyone are not me, but themselves." Dongfang Chen sighed. "What I'm most worried about is not whether I can defend this base. Rongpo should have told you that I can destroy thousands of zombies with a wave of my hand, so I naturally have the power to protect myself. It's just that if some ignorant people want to come to the base to take advantage, I'm afraid it will bring great casualties." Dongfang Chen said the key point. This was the main reason why he met the two commanders. Yan Zhangping was stunned. He had not thought about this issue. What he had been worried about was that the exposure of Dongfang Chen's strength would bring no small trouble. But he never thought that the one who might have trouble was not him, but the person who is looking for trouble. This is also a problem. Killing zombies is different from killing people. If Dongfang Chen raised the butcher knife against the people, then the meaning of the whole thing would be completely different. But once the conflict breaks out, who can control it? "You want us to cooperate with you?" Yan Zhangping asked. "It depends on what the two commanders mean. Actually, to me, these are not important. Anyone who wants to come and cause trouble must first weigh whether they are strong enough. I'll say the ugly things first, but anyone who comes uninvited, I'll kill one if they come, and I'll kill a pair if they come in pairs. It's just that if I do this, it may be difficult for the two of you. Especially Commander Zong. This is the territory of the Southeast Military Region. I'm afraid Commander Zong will be in a dilemma at that time." Dongfang Chen made his attitude clear. Zong Zhangyu's heart tightened when he heard this. Chapter 166, Being Ridiculed Again and Again. These words didn't sound pleasant. Dongfang Chen was just a commoner who was Zong Zhanyu, the commander of the Southeast Military Region, a member of the council now. He was actually being manipulated by a commoner wanting the military region to maintain the stability of Binjiang's security, helping him coordinate and block anyone who might come looking for trouble, while also absolving himself of all responsibility. This was simply outrageous. Dongfang Chen's attitude was clear. You could ignore it, but you'd bear the consequences. What a clever calculation. Zong Zhanyu thought. Dongfang Chen also noticed Zong Zhanyu's displeasure, but just smiled lightly, not saying much. He believed that Zong Zhanyu knew how to choose. Yan Zhangping didn't speak at this time either. After all, this matter had nothing to do with his Southwest Military Region, unless the resettlement camps there caused trouble. But once people arrived, it would become the Southeast Military Region's problem, and he couldn't interfere. He couldn't actively speak up for Dongfang Chen on this matter, nor could he speak up for Zong Zhanyu, so he could only watch quietly. "How about this? You arrange a garrison location, and I'll transfer a regiment over to assist in defense." Zong Zhanyu finally decided. He believed that this matter wasn't a compromise to Dongfang Chen, but rather to ensure the safety of the people when necessary. If someone really came to make trouble and was killed by Dongfang Chen, the situation would be terrible. "Commander Zong, there's no need for joint defense. If there's a conflict, I'll give you a 3-hour buffer, which is the biggest concession I can make." Dongfang Chen said a regiment of 1,000 people garrisoned in his base would require him to keep a close eye on them. He'd even have to provide some living supplies and ammunition, which wouldn't be a profitable deal. He wasn't willing to do that. "Then let's do it that way." Zong Zhanyu thought this was good too. The military was already stretched thin, and he didn't want to send people over. Actually, the resettlement camp people causing trouble is secondary. "Do you two commanders think it's possible that the military might get involved?" Dongfang Chen raised another question. The two commanders collectively frowned. This was never ending. Yan Zhangping had already considered this question, and had mentioned it to Zong Zhanyu during a casual chat. Dongfang Chen had led the military people to the mercenary union at noon today to prevent them from learning about other secret technologies of the base. At this time he wasn't afraid of the military people coming to make trouble, but if that happened, the subsequent plans would be greatly affected. Our two military regions definitely won't have this problem. Suo Tunhua of the Northeast Military Region and Shen Tuzhenghao of the Northwest Military Region are both impatient, but they never engage in extortion. They shouldn't come looking for trouble either. Yan Zhangping analyzed. "What about the Central Military Region? What about the Council?" Dongfang Chen asked. Yan Zhangping couldn't answer. This was what he was most worried about now. Dongfang Chen had directly pointed it out. In chaotic times, ambitious people are most likely to emerge. Dongfang Chen said inexplicably. He was deliberately reminding Yan Zhangping that the situation might not develop in the ideal direction, It seems you have a way to deal with it. Yan Zhangping asked. In this world, it was already difficult enough to survive, and he really didn't want conflicts to arise between the survivors. What can I do? Good words can't persuade a ghost who's determined to die. Since they're prepared to be an ambitious person, they must be prepared to lose their life at any time, Dongfang Chen replied. However, in that case, I'm afraid Commander Zhuang's influence alone won't be enough to resolve this conflict. Dongfang Chen looked at Zhuang Zhenyu. Zhuang Zhenyu's mood was extremely unpleasant, having been ridiculed by Dongfang Chen repeatedly. Little Chen, that's enough. Don't make things too big, Yan Zhangping said. Commander Yan, it's not that I want to make things big. It's that some people might think things aren't big enough and are single-mindedly causing trouble. To be honest, I'm extremely unwilling to see this outcome. My idea is for everyone to get through this crisis safely, Dongfang Chen said innocently, but it's useless to tell us this. The council isn't a place where we can call the shots, Zhong Zhenyu said. Of course it's useful. I just want to give you two a suggestion, Dongfang Chen said. What suggestion? Yan Zhangping asked. Follow your heart and don't be used by ambitious people, Dongfang Chen said vaguely. Yan Zhangping and Zhuang Zhenyu didn't speak. These two old guys were being lectured by a junior. Alright, it's getting late, we should go see the show? Dongfang Chen knew that it was enough to talk to this point today. There was no need to go into further detail, and it would cause unpleasantness between the two parties. Moreover, there was no point in talking about things that hadn't happened yet. See what show? Zhong Zhenyu asked. Commander Zhuang doesn't think that some evil elements would easily let go of such a good opportunity today. Does he? Dongfang Chen smiled. Are you talking about the redcoats? Zhong Zhenyu suddenly understood. That's right. Today, over 90% of the heads of resettlement camps in China had come. This was a good opportunity to wipe them all out. Missing it would almost certainly mean never encountering it again. The redcoats would never let go of this opportunity and would definitely attack Binjiang at all costs. Chapter 167. The show begins. That's right. The sun is about to set, and the show is about to begin, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. The two commanders followed Dongfang Chen into the transfer elevator, transferred several times, and finally arrived at the top floor of a building. The view here was the best. Standing in front of the window on the top floor, they could vaguely see the city walls of Funing district. These city walls were built by Dongfang Chen to facilitate the construction of fortifications by robots. The setting sun was about to disappear into the horizon, and the warm golden light shone in through the window, illuminating their faces and bodies. They followed the light and saw the clouds in the sky covered with a blood-red glow, peaceful and gorgeous. At this moment, they had an illusion that the world was peaceful and beautiful. 10 minutes later, the sun completely set, and the light gradually dimmed. The lights in the room turned on automatically. Dongfang Chen walked to a large tea table, sat down, and began to brew tea. Two commanders, come over and take a rest. The sun has just set, they won't arrive so quickly, Dongfang Chen said while tidying up the tea set. You have a very leisurely life. Zhong Zhenyu walked over and sat down on the tea chair. There's no way around it. When you're alone, you always have to find a way to pass the time, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. The two looked at Dongfang Chen, at his handsome face and calm demeanor, and a sense of inexplicable emotion arose in their hearts. He was not even as old as their children, but the wisdom, peace, and composure he displayed were something they themselves were ashamed of. His deep eyes, as if piercing through everything, coupled with a slight smile at the corner of his mouth, gave people a special sense of security. Perhaps this was the feeling that Lu Su, sitting in the straw boat during the borrowing arrows with straw boats, had when he looked at Zhu Liang. Twucking and laughing, the masts and oars were reduced to ashes and smoke. Are you all prepared? Yan Zhangping couldn't help but confirm. Binjiang at this time was concentrated with most of the middle and senior managers of the entire Hua nation. If even a little accident happened, the consequences would be extremely serious. Don't worry, it's foolproof, Dongfang Chen said affirmatively. That's good, Yan Zhangping nodded, still looking out the window from time to time. Even though he couldn't see anything just after 8 o'clock in the evening, faint roars came from the distance. Emergency notification. Emergency notification. A large number of zombies are approaching, and the base is about to be closed. Emergency notification. Emergency notification. A large number of zombies are approaching, and the base is about to be closed. Along with the notification, there were also bursts of ear-piercing alarms constantly sounding. The group of resettlement area leaders who had just finished visiting the base couldn't help but feel a sense of tension in their hearts when they heard the notification from the broadcast. Everyone, don't panic. The base is absolutely safe. Now, Please follow me to the observation deck. There, you can see everything that is happening outside up close. The guide reassured this was actually part of the program. It could also be regarded as giving everyone a dose of preventive medicine. The purpose was to give everyone a clear understanding of themselves and the Huitong Business Association through on-site observation, so as to avoid making mistakes that should not be made. Everyone closely followed the guide to the observation deck. This was not on the ground, nor did it have windows. Instead, the surrounding walls were covered with screens, and the images were synchronized to the screens. This was a bird's eye view from high altitude. From the pictures in the video, it could be seen that the roads outside the city were already crowded with zombies, and they were running forward frantically. Not far away was the city wall of Funing district. Among the zombie crowds, there were a few scattered zombies with larger sizes. They were constantly roaring, as if sending commands. Similar pictures were displayed on the surrounding screens, but judging from the surrounding environment, they were not the same place. This showed that the attacking zombies were not coming from the same direction. Only then did they notice that there was a word in the upper left corner of the screen, north. Looking at the other screens, there were east, west, and south respectively. This showed that the zombies were pouring in from all directions at the same time. Everyone collectively took a breath of cold air. This was the largest zombie attack they had ever seen. Even the resettlement areas that had experienced zombie sieges were frightened into cold sweat. Please don't attack. Many people secretly hoped in their hearts. What they didn't know was that the previous zombie sieges were created by the Redcoats to create public pressure and had no real intention of attacking the city. But this time was different. Their purpose this time was to wipe out these resettlement area leaders in one fell swoop. Therefore, this battle was inevitable. It was the first time that Binjiang's underground base had been besieged, and Dongfang Chen was looking forward to it. For him, this was the Redcoats coming to deliver benefits. In 10 minutes, the zombies successively arrived under the city wall. They had not yet launched an attack and were waiting for orders. The people watching the live broadcast on the observation deck had all quieted down, and the atmosphere was silent for a while. These zombies should be waiting for instructions, Yan Zhangping said, observing with night vision binoculars in front of the glass on the top floor. That's right. They are still waiting for more zombies to arrive, Dongfang Chen said. What are you planning to do? Zhong Zhenyu asked. We can't let them die too quickly, otherwise everyone won't enjoy the show, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Zhong Zhenyu was puzzled. Chapter 168 City Wall Maze Tower Defense. Rumble. A violent tremor accompanied by the shaking ground resounded. What's happening? The crowd on the observation deck grew anxious. However, the zombies in the picture showed no unusual behavior. The slight tremors from the ground intensified everyone's panic. Everyone, please don't worry. The base is undergoing a series of adjustments, the commentator reassured. Hearing the commentator's explanation, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Standing on the top floor, Zhong Zhenyu and Yan Zhangping could clearly see the earth-shattering changes taking place in the city. Walls rose from the ground, perfectly avoiding all buildings. This is, Zhong Zhenyu looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Yan Zhangping was also too shocked to speak. Just a few small tricks, preparing to play a game in the city, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Play a game? The two were speechless upon hearing Dongfang Chen's words. Others would have been scared to death in this situation, but you're still in the mood to play games. Have you ever played tower defense? Monsters spawn at the 4 entrances, east, west, south, and north, and attack the base along the routes. We can build turrets on the walls to eliminate these monsters. How about it? Fun, right? Dongfang Chen revealed his plan, asking with a smile, are you really not joking about this plan? Spending so much money, building so many things, just for fun? What a spendthrift. The two had the same thought after hearing Dongfang Chen's description. Alice. It's just a pity that our attack weapons are relatively limited, and the turrets can't be upgraded. Dongfang Chen sighed helplessly. The two breathed a sigh of relief, finally hearing something normal. But that's fine too, saves me from having to choose. I'm just afraid of making choices. I only built one type of laser cannon. We'll just set up a few more, and that's it, Dongfang Chen added. PFFT, the two were directly choked by these words. Listen to that, is that human language? Just one type of laser cannon? Our military doesn't even have one. The two glared at him fiercely. Rich tycoon. The two secretly despised him. Dongfang Chen ignored the hateful gazes from the two and continued. Commander Yan, which city gate do you think we should open first? Yan Zhangping didn't want to pay attention to him at all. He had always disliked this kind of blatant showing off. That's not right. The turrets can't be built yet. Building them too early will easily scare the zombies away. Dongfang Chen suddenly added without waiting for Yan Xiangping's reply. Yan Xiangping glanced at him, thinking that he was doing it on purpose. If this were one of Yan Xiangping's soldiers, he would have slapped him across the face. Still dare to show off. I hate showing off the most, he would have added this sentence, but now, he couldn't let Dongfang Chen's boasting succeed. He couldn't pay attention to him. I'll leave the central area of the city empty, draw a few big circles, and let a batch of zombies in first. When it's full, I'll set up the turrets, so it'll be foolproof, Dongfang Chen said, pointing at the scene outside, making plans. He was very satisfied with his plan. The two commanders just watched him show off quietly, their gazes becoming increasingly unkind. Rumble, then came another series of rumbling sounds, and the walls in the center of the city were adjusted, really drawing a few large circles. How can Dongfang Chen adjust the walls at will according to his own wishes? How is he doing it? The two became more and more puzzled. Originally, they thought that these walls were pre-built hidden structures. But now they realized that these walls could be controlled at will. This is outrageous. Is there still justice? Even the city walls are intelligent. The two commanders felt extremely unbalanced, not to mention intelligent city walls. No one can casually build ordinary city walls now. The materials consumed are a very large number. Comparing people is infuriating. Comparing goods is for throwing away. The two commanders looked at each other, understanding each other's meaning. They put away their binoculars and turned to walk towards the tea table. They weren't going to watch anymore. Watching too much hurt their livers. They weren't going to give him a chance to show off either. Sitting down and drinking tea was good for calming down. Hey, two commanders, don't go. The show is about to begin. Dongfang Chen was showing off to his heart's content, but the two gave him a taste of his own medicine. Dongfang Chen shook his head with a smile and walked back as well. Commander Zhuang, I think it would be nice if the Southeast Military Region could also build such a base. What do you think? Dongfang Chen said, taking a sip of tea. PFFT. Zhongzhen Yu spat out a tea he had just drunk. Fortunately, he blocked it with his hand, otherwise the tea tray would have to be washed again. Xiaolin, what do you mean by this? You want to help the Southeast Military Region build a base? Yan Xiangping quickly asked. He certainly couldn't agree to this. His Southwest Military Region was the first to cooperate with Dongfang Chen. Even if a base was to be built, the Southwest Military Region should take the lead. How could it be Zhongzhen Yu's turn? Did I say that? Dongfang Chen looked innocent. Here we go again. Will he die if he doesn't show off? Yan Xiangping felt unhappy and glared at him. Oh. Commander Yan, don't misunderstand. We are old acquaintances. How can the Southwest Military Region be left out if we want to build a base, don't you think? Dongfang Chen comforted. It's just that he didn't know if these words were true or false. Chapter 169. The friendship boat capsized. I say, Lao Yan, what are you stirring up? Xiao Chen, you continue, Zhongzhen Yu said, wiping the water from his mouth. A little boat of friendship capsized easily. Commander Zhuang, I was just saying. If I have any ideas, we can chat privately later. Dongfang Chen looked at Yan Xiangping pretentiously, indicating that it wasn't convenient to talk now. Xiao Chen, what do you mean by that? Tell me, haven't I always given you my full support? Take the ultrasonic transmitter last time, didn't I push it through? Yan Xiangping was unhappy when he heard the two of them were going to chat privately. Oh, you mean that? You reminded me to ask, have you finished repaying the crystal cores borrowed from the Huituang Chamber of Commerce? Dongfang Chen blinked his big eyes and asked, repaid? I don't know about the other military regions, but the Southeast Military Region has finished repaying. Speaking of this, Lao Yan, you're really dishonest. Just for those few crystal cores, you even wanted to talk about installments and held my 10 transport planes as collateral. Tell me, what kind of things are you doing? Zhongzhen Yu didn't understand the implied meaning and directly bombarded Yan Xiangping, but Yan Xiangping had a guilty conscience about this matter. Dongfang Chen quoted 1,000 crystal cores for the transmitter, but he sold it for 10,000 crystal cores. If this matter were brought to the table, his Southwest Military Region might be dismantled. The Southeast Military Region is equipped with more combat uniforms and has a higher starting point, so the speed of obtaining crystal cores is faster, but the other three military regions are not doing so well, especially the Central Military Region. It already has insufficient troops and the most affairs to handle, so the speed of obtaining crystal cores is inevitably affected. Yan Fangfang had actually settled the crystal cores long ago. However, it was not appropriate to admit that they were settled at this time. After all, it was still early before the end of the 10-month installment period. Therefore, Jens Hangping was directly asked to be speechless. He secretly regretted it, really running his mouth. Why did he mention this matter? Alright, two commanders, harmony brings wealth. Dongfang Chen took the opportunity to play the good guy. Jens Hangping glanced at Zhang Zhenyu and didn't reply. He thought to himself, this fool has been tricked onto Dongfang Chen's pirate ship again. Alright, it's getting late. The zombies outside the city are accumulating more and more. It's time to let a batch in. Dongfang Chen achieved his goal and walked to the window again, starting to issue instructions as the order was issued. The 4 city gates in the southeast, northwest, and northeast were opened simultaneously, and zombies poured in at this time. The city of Funing district had been divided into maze-like routes by walls. The zombies were like headless flies, rushing in. This is inside the city? That's not right. When we came during the day, there weren't so many walls inside. As the camera moved towards the city, the scene in front of them brought a lot of doubts to the people on the sightseeing platform. The commentator didn't make any explanations, because the content of this link had not been trained, and she didn't know what was going on. However, seeing a large number of zombies pouring into the city through the video, her heart was also beating drums, and her face became ugly. So many zombies have entered the city, will we be okay? Someone raised a question. Everyone, don't worry, everything is within the plan. Although that's what he said, the tone of his speech was very guilty. Careful people observed the abnormality of the commentator. You're lying to us, aren't you? Someone asked. No. The commentator hurriedly denied. When everyone heard someone questioning, they gathered around. You have to explain to us clearly. Will there be any danger? One person scolded. No. The commentator was just a little girl after all. Where had she seen such a battle? And was frightened. Pale Niu Xingwang learned that everyone was starting to become restless, and hurriedly ran over. Everyone, please be calm. There is absolutely no problem with the defense of our Huituang Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of inviting everyone to the sightseeing platform this time is to let everyone watch the process of eliminating zombies. At the same time, we also want to make it clear to everyone through this method that the strength of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce is absolutely trustworthy. Niu Xingwang shouted loudly, seeing that the president of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce had come in person and was full of confidence. Everyone's emotions stabilized. Why should we believe you? Someone asked. The zombie passage was specially designed by us. Doesn't this prove it? Niu Xingwang replied coldly. The person who asked the question stopped talking. This reasoning is fine. Since this passage was deliberately designed, there must be a backup plan. It's impossible to spend money to design a suicide passage, right? Okay, everyone can just watch quietly. The next scene will definitely be unforgettable for everyone. Seeing that no one questioned, Niu Xingwang added everyone's eyes returned to the video in order to make everyone see clearly. All the synchronized pictures used overhead views. It can be seen from the video that winding passages are set up in the 4 directions of southeast, northwest, and northeast, and the zombies run in them, like walking a maze. My god, has the Huituang Chamber of Commerce built the entire Binjiang city into a maze? Someone sighed. I really don't understand. What is the purpose of spending so many resources to build so many walls in the city? Someone whispered again. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170. Killing a chicken with a butcher knife. Xiao Chen, isn't it a bit wasteful to spend so much just to show everyone your strength? Jens Hangping asked, looking at the scene before him. It depends on how you calculate the costs. If it's just a simple flexing of muscles, then doing this is indeed a waste. However, with so many zombies automatically sending crystal cores over, I can't possibly turn away the god of wealth. That would truly be wasting the redcoats' good intentions. Dongfang Chen said. The two nodded in agreement. If they didn't let the zombies in first, the person manipulating things behind the scenes might see that things were going wrong and scare away a lot of zombies. That would make it impossible to maximize profits. The 4 encirclements formed by the walls could easily contain hundreds of thousands of zombies. They were curious to see how Dongfang Chen would deal with these zombies. Whether it was good or bad to lead wolves into the house depended on whether the person who led them in could subdue them within an hour. The encirclement was almost completely filled with zombies. Dongfang Chen decisively issued the order, and the doors at the 4 entrances slowly rose, completely sealing off the encirclement. The zombies trapped inside frantically attacked the surrounding walls, But the walls were very thick, so it had no effect then. With a roar from a Tier 3 zombie, the zombies began to form a human pyramid. The walls were very high, making the human pyramid method a bit difficult. Each time they reached about 2/3 of the wall's height, the zombies below couldn't bear the weight, causing the entire slope to collapse completely. After several unsuccessful attempts, the Tier 3 zombie became agitated and roared madly. Hearing the roar, the ordinary zombies began to move towards one direction. They densely gathered together, planning to attack upwards together at the same time. The zombies still in the passageway, discovering that there was no way forward, also began to try to climb over the walls. The time was ripe, and Dongfang Chen issued the order, "Look over here." Someone shouted from the viewing platform. Everyone looked over. In response, they saw on one of the screens rows of turrets slowly rising from the walls, a magnificent sight. After the turrets rose, beams of blue light shot out from the muzzles. The energy was so powerful that the zombies that were hit were directly vaporized. Some zombies were only hit in the head or waist, and the remaining limbs fell to the ground. The people on the viewing platform were stunned by this scene. What powerful firepower! Is that a laser cannon? If our settlement had such a cannon, that would be great. The zombies within the encirclement were quickly wiped out, and the laser cannon stopped firing. The entrance to the encirclement opened again. Seeing the entrance open, the zombies began to charge in again, and so it cycled. After more than an hour, the attacking zombies had been basically wiped out. "It feels like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut," Jens Hangping said, putting down his binoculars. "Indeed," Zhongzhangyu echoed, "it is a bit wasteful. But only this method has a strong visual impact, which is more suitable for a demonstration," Dongfang Chen said with a smile. The original purpose of manufacturing these laser cannons was not to eliminate zombies. They weren't worthy of Dongfang Chen making such a big fuss. The real purpose of these laser cannons was for air defense, for ground defense. He still preferred using nanobots. It felt like a spring breeze caressing the willows, silently and gently. It was just that nanobots couldn't defend against attacks from aerial units, which was indeed a major drawback. After all the zombies were eliminated, the people on the viewing platform finally relaxed. They now had no concerns about the Huituang Chamber of Commerce and regretted not getting one of the first batch of 20 cooperation slots. Some of the more resourceful ones began to contact the settlement leaders who had obtained the slots, asking if they could transfer their slots. The result was invariably a rejection. "Boss Niu, what a grand gesture. I didn't expect that in just a few months you could complete such a large project in Binjiang." Mayor Gong quietly came to Niu Xingwang and complimented him. It must be said that the change in the situation was really too fast. Half a year ago, Niu Xingwang was still a down-and-out businessman in the King's settlement who couldn't even afford to eat, and he didn't even have the qualifications to talk to him. Unexpectedly, he quickly had the capital to talk to him on an equal footing. Now it had reached the point where he had to curry favor with him. "This is all thanks to Mayor Gong's care," Niu Xingwang said with a nonchalant smile. "Haha. Not at all." Mayor Gong could only wave his hand and smile awkwardly. "Actually, Mayor Gong doesn't need to worry. Niu Xingwang, am not the kind of person who kicks away the ladder after crossing the river. Although the Chamber of Commerce headquarters didn't settle in Milan, I promised before that I would give Milan some resource support, and that promise won't change," Niu Xingwang said, half sarcastically and half comfortingly. I am grateful for your guidance. Nowadays, it's really hard to find a conscientious businessman like Boss Niu," Mayor Gong complimented without minding he no longer had the qualifications to mind it. From today onwards, the Huituang Chamber of Commerce would be completely known throughout China. His only choice was to make sure he wasn't excluded from this bandwagon. Chapter 171. Conscience is very expensive. Mayor Guang, you flatter me. I believe there will always be conscientious businessmen. It's just that conscience is a money-burning thing. Most people can't afford it, Niu Xingwang said with emotion. He deeply felt this when building the resettlement houses for Binjiang. Money was useless. To pay the workers, he had to sell off all his equipment in batches at low prices. But in the end, he got nothing in return. Mayor Gong, as the chief person in charge of several resettlement houses in Binjiang, didn't offer any help and even avoided him. Tell me, doesn't conscience burn money? A conscientious businessman, unless he has unmatched strength, cannot survive in this apocalypse. Mayor Gong took a deep breath, revealing a look of disappointment. He finally realized it at this moment. Niu Xingwang had been harboring resentment about what happened last year, but he only briefly came together with him because of business needs at the time. Perhaps the best outcome for him was that Niu Xingwang didn't kick him when he was down. Niu Xingwang's attitude was just subtly hinting to him, forget about trying to build a relationship. Somewhere outside Binjiang City, Holy Sun, Something bad has happened. The zombies that invaded the city have probably been wiped out. A holy envoy wearing a blood-red cloak ran over to report, that's nearly 1 million zombies. What power in the city can eliminate these zombies in such a short time? The Holy Sun frowned. According to the Holy Sun's assessment, it would take at least 200,000 troops to eliminate 1 million zombies in 2 hours, but now, the Southeast Military Region cannot concentrate 200,000 troops to guard Beijing, and they didn't dare to venture in to investigate soon. Several more holy envoys returned, reporting the same situation. Now that the plan has failed, you are useless, the Holy Sun said coldly. Holy, before the few people could beg for mercy, they lost their life force and fell to the ground, dead. The Holy Sun suddenly noticed something unusual and looked up. In fact, the holy envoys had been targeted long ago. Dongfang Chen knew that the zombie siege required the holy envoys to control the high-level zombies. So, he had instructed Xiaolin early on to dispatch a large number of micro-reconnaissance robots, scattered in all directions, to search for the holy envoys' hiding places as soon as the zombies arrived. Therefore, the holy envoy's every move was under Dongfang Chen's surveillance at this time. Dongfang Chen was sitting in his office, observing the holy envoy's movements through the images synchronized by the micro-robots. The sudden fall of the holy envoys greatly impacted him, and he frowned. Xiaolin, what's wrong? Yan Zhangping asked, seeing that Dongfang Chen's expression was not right. Dongfang Chen raised his hand to stop him, signaling him not to speak because at this moment, the Holy Sun was looking up at him. Of course, the Holy Sun couldn't see him, but only sensed the presence of the micro-reconnaissance robot and was looking up at the robot. The micro-reconnaissance robots cannot collect sound, they can only synchronize the images. Although Dongfang Chen didn't know who the young man in front of him was, it didn't prevent him from making some guesses. It was not difficult to see from the attitude of the holy envoys that this young man's status was higher than theirs. And in the information Dongfang Chen currently understood, the highest level figure in the Red Robe Society was the Holy Sun. However, he couldn't easily draw a conclusion at this time, because this young man wasn't wearing a mask or a cloak. The reason for wearing a mask and cloak was because those divine envoys and holy envoys had bloodshot faces due to taking pills and couldn't show their true faces. If understood from this perspective, the Holy Sun didn't have these symptoms, so there was indeed no need to wear a mask. After staring at each other for more than 10 seconds, the Holy Sun suddenly curled the corners of his mouth, revealing a faint smile. Then, he raised his right hand and stretched out his palm towards the micro-robot. Dongfang Chen didn't know what he was going to do. Suddenly, the young man's gaze sharpened, and his palm quickly clenched into a fist, making a grasping motion in the air. Immediately afterward, the image disappeared, and the main control lost contact with that micro-robot. So strong, Dongfang Chen exclaimed from the viewed images. Dongfang Chen could feel that this young man was very likely the Holy Sun. And unlike the holy envoys, the Holy Sun gave him a very mysterious and dangerous feeling. He quickly issued instructions to Xiaolin, ordering more micro-reconnaissance robots to go to investigate, and at the same time ordering the B-ant robots to carry a large number of nanobots to approach the previous location. He wanted to keep that young man there, but unfortunately, as his intuition told him, after the reconnaissance robots arrived, there was no one else present except for the corpses of the holy envoys. He still couldn't figure out how that young man discovered the reconnaissance robots. It stands to reason that the micro-reconnaissance robots are only the size of flies and fly at a height of more than 10 meters. So it is impossible for ordinary people to detect them. It seems things are going to get complicated. Dongfang Chen sighed secretly. Chapter 172 The Danger of the Holy Sun. Xiao Chen, what exactly happened? Yan Zhangping asked again. He was genuinely worried that even the slightest accident might occur during this zombie attack. I found a big fish, but unfortunately, it got away. Dongfang Chen sighed. A big fish? Are you talking about a high-ranking member of the Redcoats? Zhangping asked. That's right, I suspect it might be the Redcoats' Holy Sun. Dongfang Chen replied. It's okay, let him go. As long as the zombies are eliminated, a few small fries are nothing to fear. Zhangping comforted him. Ever since he personally witnessed Dongfang Chen easily dealing with those holy envoys last time, he had thought that the Redcoats were nothing special. Commander Zhuang, we must not be careless. The Redcoats were able to develop such a large force domestically, which is not something a few small fries could achieve. I've always had a feeling that those below the holy envoys don't even count as true members of the cult. They lack the kind of intense worship and faith in certain things that believers in other cults possess. Dongfang Chen said. The two commanders nodded, indicating that they also had this feeling, but the young man I saw just now was different. Dongfang Chen continued, "You saw him? How did you see him?" Zhongzhangai looked around. There were no monitors or other people here. Dongfang Chen's words gave him an eerie feeling, even making the back of his neck feel cold. I have my own methods," Dongfang Chen said, finding it amusing. The unknown brings fear. It seems that whether in ancient times or modern times, people have this instinct. They naturally attribute things they cannot understand to the supernatural. This has nothing to do with a person's knowledge or experience. Then tell me, what's different about that person? Yan Zhangping asked. "He is very powerful and his eyes are filled with intense aggression," Dongfang Chen said, expressing his feelings. "How powerful?" Yan Zhangping continued to ask. "It's hard to say. There's too little basis for judgment. However, he can easily spot a micro-reconnaissance robot the size of a fly in the sky more than 10 meters high and destroy it with a flick of his finger." Dongfang Chen explained. Yan Zhangping nodded and didn't ask any further. He didn't have a concept in his mind either, not knowing what level of strength this belonged to. Even so, it shouldn't make you so worried, right? With your current strength, I don't think you can't handle it, Yan Zhangping said. Of course, if it were just these things, it would be fine. There's only one thing that's difficult, Dongfang Chen said. Which point? Yan Zhangping asked. That young man wasn't wearing a mask or a cloak, Dongfang Chen replied. Word by word the two commanders didn't understand what the problem was. What's the problem with that? Apart from those from the red coats, isn't that how everyone is? Zhongzhangai said with a smile. That's right. The problem is that we are all like that. Dongfang Chen looked at him, emphasizing it. Zhongzhangai suddenly froze, pondered carefully, and instantly felt his hair stand on end. You mean, that's right. If the Holy Sun doesn't have any side effects from taking those pills, then they don't need to wear masks. That also means they can blend in with us and become one of us. If that's the case, it will be even more difficult for us to eradicate the red coats, Dongfang Chen said. Indeed. Unseen enemies are even more terrifying. Especially enemies who are staying by our side and can't be detected, Yan Zhangping agreed. This also brings considerable risks to the Chamber of Commerce's promotion. The rapid expansion of scale means the addition of a large number of new people. If some people take the opportunity to infiltrate it at this time, it may bring considerable damage to future plans, Dongfang Chen added. This is inevitable in itself. When there are more people, it is inevitable that there will be a mixture of good and bad. Zhongzhangai comforted him. Well, both commanders should also pay attention. Maybe someone around you is the Holy Son of the Red Coats, Dongfang Chen suggested. Don't worry, the soldiers in our troops were all recruited before the virus outbreak, and the Redcoats didn't have the opportunity to infiltrate. Zhongzhangai said. Dongfang Chen smiled and said nothing more. People's faults lie in being fond of being teachers. The performance ended, and the heads of the settlements left the observation deck one after another. Those who did not get the first batch of cooperation quotas were sent back to their respective settlements one after another under the arrangement of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce. Mayor Gong's Merlin settlement can be regarded as having completed the construction of the Chamber of Commerce and the Union, so there is no need to stay. However, Zuo Wenchen, who was newly transferred to the mayor of Mazhao City and the person in charge of the Suiyang settlement, stayed behind. He was one of the first people to understand the Chamber of Commerce, so he got a cooperation quota without hesitation. Everyone, next we need to spend some time discussing some details of the cooperation. Before that, everyone can feel free to ask questions, and I will answer some questions that everyone is concerned about first. Ensuring that everyone has a sufficiently comprehensive understanding of this cooperation will help us efficiently arrange follow-up matters, Niu Xingwang said in his opening remarks. Chapter 173 Chamber of Commerce recruits new members. I would like to ask, after the establishment of the Chamber of Commerce branch, will it build the kind of turrets we just saw in our resettlement area? Someone asked. According to the current plan, the Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild will each build 2 turrets within the branch, Niu Xingwang replied. If we need it, will you undertake such construction projects? We are currently unable to undertake them, Niu Xingwang replied. Everyone was silent, expressing their understanding. They believe that the Chamber of Commerce would not easily disclose this technology. It's not that the Chamber of Commerce is unwilling to disclose this technology. In fact, such turrets are not suitable for construction in resettlement areas because they consume a huge amount of energy. However, I can promise that if there is a zombie attack in the resettlement area, the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild will provide as much support as possible. Niu Xingwang said. Everyone nodded, indicating that they understood. Niu Xingwang could not reveal the secrets of the ecological crisis, nor could he bluntly tell everyone that they would inevitably have to build underground bases in the future, so building so many turrets would not be of much use. If they wanted each resettlement area to establish underground bases, they must first revitalize their economy. Only when the economy is revitalized can the resettlement areas gradually accumulate the funds to build underground bases. Dongfang Chen could not build bases for them for free, because it would be tiring for him, he couldn't afford it, and everyone would not appreciate his kindness. In short, it was still Dongfang Chen's words, the only ones who could save them were themselves. So, what is the purpose of setting up branches of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild? It is to revitalize the economy. The Guild manages people, and the Chamber of Commerce manages resources, a two-pronged approach. This can form a virtuous circle. Dongfang Chen uses this method to extend his reach to the whole country, gathering resources from all of China, so that he can develop faster. And everyone also uses their own hands to fight for the opportunity to survive for their own tomorrow. Will the Chamber of Commerce interfere in the internal affairs of a resettlement area? The Chamber of Commerce advocates solving problems through democratic consultation. We will not interfere too much in the internal affairs of the resettlement area, especially matters unrelated to our own business. We will not directly or indirectly participate in the management of the resettlement area through violence, coercion, intimidation, or other means. We advocate peace and development and will not actively provoke internal conflicts in the resettlement area. These are all written in the cooperation agreement, and everyone will understand it after reading it, Niu Xingwang explained. Then, if we want to cancel the cooperation, what is the exit mechanism? Also, after exiting, can we apply for cooperation again? In fact, these contents are all explained in the agreement. However, in order to save everyone's time, I will briefly explain it. If the Chamber of Commerce has not yet started investing in the resettlement area, the cooperation can be cancelled at any time through friendly consultation between the two parties. But please note that because the Chamber of Commerce's initial investment is very huge, if it has already entered the investment stage, and the resettlement area wants to unilaterally terminate the cooperation, it must provide full compensation in the form of crystal cores. During the compensation period, the Chamber of Commerce will not withdraw from the resettlement area. If we unilaterally terminate the cooperation, then you will not have to bear the initial investment. We do not accept secondary cooperation, so each resettlement area only has one chance to cooperate. Within 2 hours, everyone successively discussed issues such as land transfer fees, tax issues, and information security issues, and Niu Xingwang answered them one by one. Okay, if everyone is clear, then I will give everyone 10 minutes to consider. If anyone wants to withdraw from the cooperation, they can still withdraw now. After 10 minutes, we will discuss some specific matters regarding the construction of the Chamber of Commerce branch. After a brief mutual communication, no one ultimately chose to withdraw. Now that everyone has made a final decision, let's get down to business. The first thing is talent recruitment. We plan to recruit 1,200 people in the first batch as reserve cadres for the Chamber of Commerce. This matter requires everyone's cooperation. As the first batch of cooperative resettlement areas, this can be regarded as some special benefits for everyone. The 1,200 people will be divided equally among you, with an average of 60 recommendation places for each resettlement area. You must know that these people will basically become the backbone of the various Chamber of Commerce branches in the future, and I think this will be very beneficial to everyone. Niu Xingwang hinted. Everyone immediately understood when they heard this. Of course, there are benefits, and the benefits are great. If the people in their resettlement area can hold important positions in other resettlement areas, it will be extremely beneficial to their own development. We are currently short of manpower, so this matter must be handled on an ad hoc basis. I will only give everyone 3 days, and submit the list to me within 3 days. What are the requirements? The requirements are relatively relaxed: a university degree or above, aged 30 to 45, and in good health. No restrictions on major or gender. After 3 days, I will arrange for a plane to go to each resettlement area to pick up the people and take them back to headquarters for training. At the same time, during these 3 days, we must also simultaneously carry out the second thing, the implementation of the construction land for the Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild. We will send people to each resettlement area to investigate one by one, and sign contracts on the spot if the conditions are met. Then we will arrange for equipment to arrive on site according to the order of signing, and carry out construction, Niu Xingwang said. Chapter 174 Dongfang Chen, S Warning. Do the construction workers need to be recruited from our resettlement area? No, our branch is completely automated construction and does not require manual intervention, Niu Xingwang replied. Hiss. Upon hearing this, everyone gasped. What kind of technical strength is this? Fully automated construction? No manual intervention needed? Why haven't we heard of such advanced construction technology before? With everyone's questions resolved, arrangements became efficient and swift. After settling the matters, the Chamber of Commerce arranged for a plane to send everyone back to the resettlement area at the same time. The military and council representatives who had gone to observe the mercenary guild also returned to the Chamber of Commerce after their observation. Yan Zhangping and Zhuang Zhanggai also stood up to bid farewell and left the base with the others. Thus, the founding celebration of the Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild headquarters came to a successful end. Inside the main base, it was already late at night. Brother Niu, Brother Zhang, you've worked hard today. Come, a toast to you both. Dongfang Chen raised his glass. Cheers. The two of them didn't hesitate, raising their glasses and drinking them dry. Mr. Dongfang, you are truly resourceful. How many months has it been? Not only have you built such a grand underground base in Binjiang, but you've also gotten the council to support our Chamber of Commerce and Guild. It's truly unimaginable, Niu Xingwang exclaimed. Yes, unimaginable. Little Chen used to be a regular customer at my shop. To be honest, he was always very frugal when buying things. Who would have thought he was a hidden master? Zhang Yuanke echoed. The rapid expansion of our Chamber of Commerce's business is mainly due to the emergence of the zombie rats. Without this opportunity, it would have cost us a great deal to achieve the situation we have today, Dongfang Chen said. That's right, the zombie rats really did us a big favor. What do you think they would feel if they knew that what we buried in the resettlement area wasn't an ultrasonic transmitter? Zhang Yuanke said carelessly. He didn't completely know what was buried, only that it was a very intelligent robot. Brother Zhang, never mention this again in the future. Walls have ears, so be careful and extra cautious. From today onwards, everyone should keep the ultrasonic transmitter a secret and refrain from discussing it in any setting, Dongfang Chen said seriously. Okay, although the two didn't know why Dongfang Chen had suddenly become so cautious, they would just follow orders. Mr. Dongfang, has something happened? Niu Xingwang felt that Dongfang Chen's reaction was abnormal. You're not outsiders, so it's okay to tell you. But I still have the same request. This matter is of great importance, and it must not be discussed again after leaving this room, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, the two also became serious and solemnly agreed. A big shot came during the zombie attack tonight, Dongfang Chen said. What big shot? Zhang Yuanke asked. A saint from the Scarlet Robe sect, Dongfang Chen said. A saint. The two were a little surprised, but it wasn't too unexpected. That's right. The reason this matter is important is that, from now on, our interior is not absolutely safe either. Based on what we learned today, the saint doesn't need to wear a mask. This means that the other party can easily sneak in. This is also the main reason why I forbid you from discussing these secrets in any setting. Now is the time when the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild are recruiting a large number of people, so it's easy for the other party to sneak in, Dongfang Chen explained. Then do we have any countermeasures? Niu Xingwang asked. If there might be an invisible eye watching from behind at any time, it would be difficult to do things without being constrained. Yes, but not 100%. If the other party is very cautious and doesn't reveal any flaws, we won't be able to identify them, Dongfang Chen replied. Like Gu Qingyi, the secret art user beside Mei Wenhua, Dongfang Chen always felt that there was something wrong, but for so long, no anomalies had been detected. It seems that we need to be extra careful at all times in the future, Niu Xingwang sighed. This is also a good thing. We've been living too comfortably lately, which isn't a good thing. Having such an enemy to spur us on will help us develop better, Dongfang Chen said. That's right. Just like the zombie rats, it's a crisis, but it's also an opportunity for us, Zhang Yuanke said. In short, don't discuss this matter in public. Everyone should just pretend they don't know, and I'll take care of the rest, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, the two agreed. Next, the two of you will be busy. We are racing against time. Time is already tight, and with the potential for enemies to sabotage us, we need to speed up the progress even more, Dongfang Chen said. Don't worry. For both public and private reasons, we are duty-bound, Zhang Yuanke replied. Zhang Yuanke sincerely believed that the Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild were doing something great to save all of humanity, and this lofty vision deeply fascinated him. Chapter 175. Find a way to get the crystal core. Brother Zhang is a pure person, someone who dares to dedicate his life to a noble cause. Dongfang Chen didn't think there was anything wrong with that. With him supporting from behind the scenes, Zhang could devote himself wholeheartedly without any reservations. 3 days later, June 12, 2055 AD, the first batch of 20 cooperative settlements had already sent their lists back to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters at the same time. The inspection team dispatched by the Chamber of Commerce had also completed on-site confirmation of the branch construction land one by one and signed the purchase contract. The Chamber of Commerce did not actually invest any funds, but only agreed in the form of a contract that after the branch construction was completed and put into use, the land transfer fee would be transferred to the settlement's member accounts in the form of member points. As far as the settlements were concerned, money was useless. They agreed to use member points for transactions because they value the fact that member points could be used to purchase materials and equipment. By transferring a small piece of land, they could obtain tangible benefits, so there was no reason to disagree. Dongfang Chen also had using Wang, in the name of the Huituang Chamber of Commerce, transfer 60 university professors from the Ministry of Culture, mainly majoring in economics, administration management, trade, and other fields. Now that universities no longer offer classes, these experts and professors are essentially unemployed. Therefore, when the Ministry of Culture heard that the Huituang Chamber of Commerce needed lecturers, it agreed without hesitation. Being able to solve the problem of food for some people would also reduce the pressure on the Ministry of Culture. These professor-level lecturers were all prepared for the 1,200 reserve cadres who were about to come for training next. The construction of the branches would begin. Although the micro-queen bees had already been buried underground in advance, the development level of each settlement was different. The reason was that the number of zombies that could be captured around these settlements was different. Some settlements had some scattered zombie humans or zombie animals appearing nearby every day, so the queen bee would have the opportunity to obtain more crystal cores and develop faster. However, some settlements found it difficult to encounter a single zombie, so the queen bee's development was seriously lagging behind. According to the agreement, the Chamber of Commerce had to build the branch building itself, so Dongfang Chen had to pay for this crystal core expense himself. Starting the construction of 20 branches at the same time required a budget of at least 2 million crystal cores, which was not a small number. During this period, the consumption of crystal cores, due to the continuous expansion of the base, could be described as astronomical. Now, the total number of crystal cores that Dongfang Chen could take out was less than 3 million, which included the crystal cores obtained from eliminating the 1 million zombies that attacked Binjiang a few days ago. Obviously, directly taking out these 2 million crystal cores would be painful for him. What method can I use to get some more crystal cores? Dongfang Chen wondered. Currently, the two largest sources of crystal cores were the red-clothed sect and the military. The number of crystal cores that the military could bring every day was relatively stable, and there would be a small increase every once in a while. However, this amount was currently at its limit, because the soldiers equipped with combat suits in the military were already operating at full capacity. Besides that, there was only the red-clothed sect as a channel. The red-clothed sect's use of zombie attacks was like sending heads from 1,000 miles away to Dongfang Chen. I really hope that the red-clothed sect can launch an attack every now and then. That would be great. Dongfang Chen sighed. That's right. If the red-clothed sect doesn't come, I can actively create opportunities. Dongfang Chen suddenly thought of a plan, so he took out his satellite phone and called Zhong Zhenyu. Xiao Chen, are you calling because you need something? Zhong Zhenyu asked as soon as the call connected. Commander Zhong, how is that holy envoy recovering? Dongfang Chen asked. The holy envoy he was referring to was one of the 3 holy envoys captured at the Suyang settlement not long ago. At that time, Dongfang Chen had already agreed to let him go back, and he even sent him a prosthetic limb originally. Dongfang Chen spared his life partly because he was not inherently evil, and partly because he hoped to use him to catch bigger fish. Now it seemed that this person was really useful. The tendons in both hands were reattached a few days ago and are still recovering. Zhong Zhenyu replied, how about this? I'll send a plane over to pick him up later. The next plan requires his help, Dongfang Chen said. All right. But I still want to say this, the people of the red-clothed sect cannot be trusted lightly. You can use him, but you must be vigilant at all times, Zhong Zhenyu advised. Okay, I'll pay attention, Dongfang Chen replied. All right. That's it then. After speaking, Zhongzhenyu hung up the phone. In less than 2 hours, Holy Envoy number 3 was brought to the base. Accompanying him were 2 medical staff members. From this, it could be seen that Zhongzhenyu was still relatively meticulous. I still don't know your name, Dongfang Chen asked. Wanpeng, Holy Envoy number 3 replied. Is the prosthetic limb convenient to use? Dongfang Chen continued to ask. It's much better than expected. I can walk like a normal person and do some simple jumping exercises, Wanpeng replied. That's good. If there's an opportunity in the future, I'll help you reattach your legs, Dongfang Chen said. Reattach them? Wanpeng was stunned. He didn't know what the young man in front of him meant. Yes, reattach them. Like growing 2 new legs, Dongfang Chen explained. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.